planned everything. We planned our practice, we planned our quali.
But we are ready to get started for the Indian Racing League, and we're lights out. Let's race at Chennai.
These cars, the Wolf GB Royal Thunders, Jake, they are fast, they are ferocious, and they don't let anyone take them for granted.
Turn one, we don't really have another choice, trying to take the clean line.
Is a new chapter in Indian motorsport.
It's really crucial to get off the limit at the right time so that you're not speeding.
Now India takes its place on the world stage of motorsport with its truly international competition on the fabulous Madras International Circuit.
At the start it got a little tight, I got hit from the back.
Neil Jani though, stepping up the attack and trying to disappear up front.
Yeah, into turn 1, turn 3, I was just amazing, going from almost last to P4.
What she needs to do, look, she moves the car to the middle. Jar's trying to commit to the inside line. They both lock up, it's touched, and Jar is going to go slick way.
We have a good car. The car is running really well.
Akil Rabindra crosses the line, he gets the job done.
The results are the fruits of that.
In the end, yeah, a perfect weekend for us.
A warm and sunny Chennai welcomes us for round 3 of the Indian Racing League. We're live from the Madras International Circuit right here in Chennai. It's an iconic circuit. It is a circuit that we know and love, and in many ways this is the original mecca of Indian motorsport. We can't wait for this weekend to kick off. It is round 3. I'm your host Suhail Chandok. Alongside me is multiple national champion Gaurav Dalal, fondly known as Puka Dalal. Welcome, Puka. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Tui. Really, very happy that I'm here. And looking forward to this brilliant Indian Racing League, which I think has caught eyes and ears for everybody around.
Absolutely. It's an Indian league for Indian drivers. And Gaurav, for us here, this is home. You know, we grew up with this circuit behind us. We remember watching races here from the 90s.
Absolutely.
How special is it to see the Indian Racing League right here at the MIC?
Like I mentioned even last weekend, I mean, it is goosebumps all the way around, as in to have our own racing league. As in, it's a dream come true for all the motorsport fans across the country.
Yeah, it's a dream come true for a lot of motorsport fans. It's been a dream start for the Hyderabad boys as well, because this side, the Blackbirds, have been absolutely on it. Gaurav, lights to flag victories in both those sprint races. They were special to watch. Neil Jani and Akil Rabindra.
They just flew away. As in, Neil Jani is a class apart, of course, with all his experience that he's had. And Akil, as in, brilliant to see that driver as well. As in, the duo, as in, just totally complement each other.
Yeah, and I think overall, when you look at the way they went through the last round as well, you had Neil Jani winning in that first race. You've got sprint race 2, a win for Akil Rabindra as well. The Hyderabad Blackbird side really doing a tremendous job in both those races back to back. But also the likes of Fabian, the likes of Alistair Jung from Malaysia came in straight away off the blocks from Kochi, doing a great job to finish on the podium. John Lancaster from Chennai getting the home side onto the podium in sprint race 2 as well. But you've got to say the favourites coming in yet again have to be Hyderabad.
No, but Suhail, you missed one. Ruhan Alva.
Yep.
Ruhan Alva in the sprint race 1 did a fabulous job, starting from way at the back and ending where he did. Hats off to him. Fabian, she's my personal favourite with the entire composure and with the experience that she has and with what she's done in the past. She and Ruhan are a good complementing pair as well for Kochi. So they're the ones up close to Hyderabad, and definitely going to give them a run for their money to see who comes up on top.
Now we are in Chennai. We can't not talk about the Chennai squad. John Lancaster picking up a podium. You've got some talented drivers in the mix there. They will be gunning for glory.
Absolutely. John did a fabulous job the first sprint race. And for the feature race, he had a little bad luck with Alistair coming into him in the first lap itself. So Chennai has got good supporters this weekend, and we're definitely looking forward to Chennai giving a good run for the money for all the other teams as well. One of my little upsets last weekend was Chennai's performance.
Yep.
Apart from Germany being out of FIFA.
We won't go there. But guys, look, we normally speak of motorsport and think of it as being an individual sport. Not when it comes to the IRL. This is now a team sport, and Xerxes and Sukhmani tell us just why.
Hey everyone,
Okay.
This
is teamwork, because this sport is all about teamwork. There are two drivers racing one car. So you be driver A, lead this car, and I'll be driver B.
Okay, let's do this once again.
Let's go.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Indian Racing League. This is round 3. We're at the Madras International Circuit today, and
we had a wonderful round 2 last weekend. So much action happening, and this time we've got 2 qualifiers and 1 sprint race for today. Hope you're ready for all of this action.
great teamwork.
Back to the studio.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and at the moment the team that is working are the Blackbirds from Hyderabad. 174 points on top of that leaderboard. Godspeed Kochi not too far behind. It's got to be said that there's plenty of points on offer here in Chennai this weekend as well. Bangalore Speedsters also doing a pretty decent job. They've hit the 100 mark, but there is a lot of work to be done for the Goa Aces, the Chennai Turbo Riders, and the Speed Demons from Delhi, who are just on the 15 points so far. But Gaurav, looking forward to today. Obviously, we've got Q1 coming up first up. And just to explain to our viewers, Q1 sets the grid for Sprint 2 tomorrow.
Yes, yes. So Q1 is going to be very important for the team to make sure they get that lap in bang on. And no mistakes allowed over here. So the track is unforgiving, as in you make one little mistake and you're then thrown at the back. So you need to be spot on with your lap.
Well, a man who knows how to do the laps here at Chennai, spoken truly by a national champion as well. Gaurav, thanks so much for joining us. We've got live qualifying action on the other side of a short breather. Take a short one. We'll be right back with all the cars hitting the track right here at the Madras International Circuit. This is the Indian Racing League, and we're set to kick off.
The producer in here? Cool, super. Audio check, all okay? Can you hear us?
It's on time, na?
Sound check, sound check.
It's all good.
Okay, let's go. So we'll be back after a quick break, right? Not too long.
So, can we again begin with the locator graphics?
Sure.
So, bumper from red and then blue, give me a drone shot.
We are on time. 2 minutes. So, push line off.
Cool.
कुछ नहीं है तो ऐसे मत करो experiment because this goes live on YouTube और throughout जाता है.
Round 3 of the Indian Racing League 2022 here from the Madras International Circuit in Erungatukatoi in Chennai. What a fantastic battle it is going to be for round 3 of this exceptional championship. Last weekend we had thrills, spills and action galore. It's all going to come to a head once again as we gear up for qualifying. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me is Samil Arora. This is going to be a fantastic weekend. Everything we learnt from 7 days ago is now going to be completely obsolete. The drivers have some information now, they have some data, but now they're going to be pushing even harder than they were last week.
Absolutely, because so now most of them actually understand the car. And that's an amazing thing, right? They've been testing at this circuit for the last 3 weeks. At last, only some of them have still understood the car, which is actually just a part of the challenge. This car is so complicated that even after 3 weeks of testing, some drivers are still finding new elements of the car. Some parts that are different than the other ones. So I'm very intrigued to see what goes on over here. Which drivers can actually dial it down, Jake, over the course of one single lap? Because, let's be honest, they've been doing lots of race running. Qualifying running has been tricky. And so watching who excels in one lap, I think that's going to be so exciting. And you could get to see some teamwork as well.
So for those of you who are still new to the world of the Indian Racing League, the format for qualifying is very simple. The drivers go out in Group A, and they are qualifying the cars to start race 2 in those positions. And the drivers then go out for Q2, which is for the Group B drivers, and they are qualifying for the drivers who will start Group A race. So essentially, the drivers in one group are actually qualifying for their teammates to start in their race, and then vice versa, which really brings the team chemistry and dynamic in. It's a fascinating format, a bit of a new one for the world of motorsport. This is unique, not just to the Indian Racing League, but to motorsport in general.
Indeed, yeah, and this could be frustrating or exciting in a different way, because you might be the driver who ends up getting pole position because your teammate put their lap over there, but on the contrary, there could be one driver who, let's say, starts 8th, even though they set the car on first. So this element of teamwork is a bit tricky, and we saw Kevin Mirocca, one of my new drivers, is testing out the lawn outside here at the Madras International Circuit. But I love this element, Jake, because all of a sudden, they'll work with a teammate now. Because in motorsport, all these drivers throughout their karting careers, throughout their racing careers, it's always been a solo game. They've been working only on themselves. Suddenly, they've got to lift someone else up as well. So that includes the psychology of it big time.
Yeah, and the very fact of coming into this one as well is that for round 3 we have 2 driver changes through the field. Last week Yasharajya was filling in at the Bangalore Speedsters. Well, their regular team captain Oliver Webb is now back, having been racing over in Dubai in the historic Grand Prix. Did a fantastic job behind the wheel of James Hunt's 1975 Hesketh F1 car, so he's been preparing for this one in the best way possible. And then we also have a replacement at the Goa Aces number 7 car. Last week we had Raul Hyman in the car. He was perfectly okay after his crazy accident that we had in the second race, so he's not injured, but he's now jumped over to Japan to do testing in Super Formula because he has a chance of lining up on the grid in Japan next year. So filling in after a 10-year hiatus of racing is the Polish driver Kevin Mirocca, who we haven't seen in racing since Jonathan Palmer's FIA Formula 2 all the way back in 2012. So what a comeback it's going to be for the Polish driver.
Oh yeah, in the middle he's done a little bit of GT racing here and there, but not some proper hardcore stuff. Now suddenly he has to go in there for 2 crazy weeks of racing. Firstly, a couple of races right here in the Indian Racing League for the sprint race and then the feature, and we go back to Hyderabad next week as well. So for Kevin, it's going to be a tough comeback because the drivers around here, Jake, my word. I mean, in this particular group itself, we've got the likes of John Lancaster, who's raced so many sports cars back in Europe. Oliver Webb, as you rightly mentioned, who's competed in LMP1, is one of the top echelon of sports cars and driven all the other race cars in the world. We've got lots of young Indian talents as well, like Shah Ali Bhosle, and then there's Neil Jani, the Mont winner Neil Jani, the World Endurance Champion Neil Jani. So this particular qualifying group, I think, is going to be frantic. And I actually am very curious, how does Kevin rank up after so many years off? It's
going to be fascinating, and he's really testing himself up against anything else as well. One of the interesting facets coming into qualifying, though, looking overhead, Samil, this is a bit of an interesting one because those clouds are starting to gather quite quickly. We had a very sunny day about an hour and a half ago, and now all of a sudden those rain clouds, we had about 37 seconds worth of rain just as we arrived at the circuit this morning, which really kicked in with humidity. Now it's looking like there could be a bit of a threat of rain, possibly even for race 1 later, so that's a slight concern amongst the drivers. There's a couple of drivers that are actually hoping for rain because they actually want things to mix it up a little bit. So I don't know who's been doing the rain dances last night, but there's a couple of drivers who could be in for a bit of a nice surprise. Neil Jani just getting himself up to speed, just warming up the tyres, trying to get the brakes up to temperature as well. The car looking very strong around this circuit. Last week there were still drivers kind of learning about brake biases, whether you go rear, whether you go front. I was talking to a few of the drivers trackside yesterday, and it's fascinating. There are some drivers out there who prefer to have rear brake bias for qualifying and then front brake bias for the race. And there are others that have the complete vice versa approach. They want to have it the other way round. So it's a fascinating dynamic. And this car is so versatile, but also so loose at the limit. The drivers are essentially trying to learn session by session what works. They're not 100% clicking with this car yet. So there's going to have to be a few risks that are taken that perhaps the drivers might not be too comfortable about.
Absolutely, and we saw that in the last race as well. There were so many drivers who were inconsistent in their lap times because one lap they thought they found something, the other lap they tried something different and things went out of their favour. So consistency is going to be the key right here in the races in the Indian Racing League. This, however, Jake, is different. We've got qualifying, and essentially all that they've got over here is a one-lap shootout. One lap, warm your tyres, over and done with.
Goa races appear to be done in qualifying. They're already finished. So Amir Saeed has got out of the car, and so has Kevin Miroka. So they've managed to put their cars in the top 6. Miroka's gone round in a best time of 1:35.7, and Amir Saeed has done a 1:36.4 with 4 minutes to go. They're already getting out of the car, so they clearly feel they haven't got anything left in the tank.
No, it must be technical. It can't be the drivers. It must be something technical going on over there, because 1:36, for context, folks, is 5 seconds off what Nikhil Bora has done at the very top, a 1:31.8. Now, in the world of motorsport, 5 seconds, think of it this way. In a 100-meter race, you see that runner that's running absolutely the dead last, just thinking, oh man, I wish I was back home. That's 5 seconds for you. And so Goa Aces are, where are they?
They're done at the number 6 car as well. John Lancaster has peeled into the pits having done his lap and clearly feels there's nothing left. Now, he's had all sorts of difficulties, John Lancaster. Yesterday, they were complaining that they didn't really have a decent feel in terms of brake bias. Something wasn't quite right in the car. I asked him after practice yesterday, you came in after 3 laps, what was the problem? He went, I just didn't get a feel. I couldn't get a feel in the car. I couldn't push it. And that's what you need as a racing driver if you want to be at the limit. So he felt, I'm just flat spotting tyres. There's no point. We need to change something. They've made some changes over the course of practice through to qualifying, so they clearly feel they need to get something together. Parth Gorpada has just done his run now. Number 5 has come in, having set a best time of a 1:36.3. Nikhil Bora is currently provisional pole though, so he's going to be handing the number 2 car to Alistair Young in provisional pole position. We still haven't really got a decent lap time yet from Neil Jani, although he is now looking at 2nd position. He's starting to push it. Now this is the interesting thing from this weekend to last weekend. Last weekend the Hyderabad Blackbird number 9 was the dominant force every time, but Nikhil Bora's found pace. They really have some speed in the Godspeed Kochi car now, and Nikhil Bora is actually 1.3 seconds quicker than Neil Jani. So whatever they didn't have last week, they've got it this week, and now Neil Jani's having to push a little bit harder than he's comfortable with to try and get that pole position back.
I'm not surprised about Nikhil Bora's pace at all. He is such a quick driver. He's been testing lots of Formula 4 cars lately. And Nikhil, deep down inside, he knows he's capable of taking a pole position, but things have just not worked out here or there for him. So finally it's good to see him at the very top, but I'm intrigued. Is this Neil's flying lap?
Yes,
or
it is.
It is Neil.
He's peeling in. He's peeling in. Now, he had set a time there that was quicker in the first sector than Nikhil Bora had just done. And he's bailed on that, so they're going to have to be content with 2nd place. Now, from Neil Jani's point of view, that's not going to be too big an issue for him, because obviously he's qualified the car 2nd, so he's going to give that car, obviously, to Akhil Rabindra. So Rabindra will start his race from P2, so it's not that big a deal for Neil Jani. What he wants now is for Akhil Rabindra to go out in the car in Q2 and bang it on pole position. That's what he wants.
No,
so,
absolutely.
Interesting dynamic here. And, of course, Nikhil Bora, having set that particular time, puts the car in pole position, so he's going to give that car to the Malaysian Alistair Young, who will get to start his race from pole position alongside Akhil Rabindra. That's going to be an amazing dynamic on the run to turn 1.
I'm not surprised. I'm amazed that Nikhil Bora has finally got that 1 lap together. And what I'm very impressed by, Jake, is the gaps, because if someone like Neil Jani is 1.3 seconds away, Nikhil must have absolutely dialed it in that 1 lap, because normally that does not happen, even though Neil Jani might be short on sleep. Regardless, 1.3 seconds is amazing. But what I'm really intrigued about is what's happened with Sean Ali Mohsin and Oliver Webb. I expected them to be somewhat closer. It seems that something's gone wrong in their 1 flying lap, because normally I know Nikhil's very fast, but I don't think they'll be 1.4 or 1.3 seconds behind. So we'll have to have a word with them to understand what happens. But I think that's the challenge of having only one flying lap, right? Something or the other might happen. Maybe a gust of wind, maybe you messing up the braking at one corner. I don't know, the temperatures might end up changing when you're doing a flying lap, and so that influences the factors so well. But Nikhil Bora, my word, I don't think we've unearthed a star, but it's great to see him finally achieving what he knows he can.
Absolutely. I mean, Nikhil Bora started karting here in this country 9 years ago. He grew up through the echelons of Indian Rotax, then worked his way through, has been in F4 for many races over the course of 2022, and now he's really starting to gain that confidence, and he's really put himself. What about the man who's put it in third position for the Speed Demons Delhi squad, Shahan Ali Mohsin, who is the reigning F1600 national champion in India, won the title last year. He put it in third place. Very good run from the Speed Demons Delhi team. And they've had all sorts of problems in qualifying. Even Mitch Gilbert has banged it in the top 6. They had a nightmare practice yesterday. They had a nightmare practice this morning. In qualifying, it's all suddenly come good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that they're finally up in P3 and their car is finally finishing a session, because that's been an issue with them, unfortunately, is getting into some sort of trouble here and there. But I know that the Speed Demons Delhi drivers know that they can do more. I mean, they've been gunning for pole. They're like, okay, if we didn't have a certain driver impede us or a certain part not working, we knew we'd be in pole position. So on the outside, it feels amazing to see Speed Demons Delhi up there in P3. Deep down, they might be thinking, come on, this could have been a pole position. So I'm very intrigued, but in context, it looks amazing. What I'm actually surprised to see is the Bangalore cars, because Oliver Webb has just come in yesterday. Barely any practice, barely any sleep. Straight up, he's gone into P4. I'm intrigued. If he can do this in qualifying with so little practice, what can he do in the sprint race?
That's very true. The teams that are on the back foot after qualifying are actually the Goa Aces and the Chennai Turbo Riders. They've not had the best of qualifying at all. They're the ones languishing down in the bottom 4. So a tricky situation. So it's Nikhil Bora who puts the car in pole position for Godspeed Kochi. Then Neil Jani second for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. Shahan Ali Mohsin puts the Speed Demons Delhi car in third position. Oliver Webb for the Bangalore Speedsters P4. Then Anindith Reddy in the second of the Hyderabad Blackbirds is fifth. Sixth place is the second of the Speed Demons Delhi cars, Mitchell Gilbert. Then Bianca Bustamante, the Filipino from Manila, 17 years of age and W Series driver, seventh for Bangalore Speedsters. Then Fabienne Volvend in the Godspeed Kochi car number 1, she's eighth. And then it is the two cars across the squads, John Lancaster ahead of Kevin Mirokcha, and then Parth Gorpada and Amir Saeed for the two squads from Chennai Turbo Riders, and of course the 7 and 8 cars of the Goa Aces. Very tricky situation, and a tough qualifying session all the way.
Absolutely, but now we've got Xerxes with Nikhil Bora, who's our pole sitter right now. Let's hear from him.
Okay, we are done with qualifier 1 and Nikhil is in P1. So Alice is going to start P1 in race 2. Last time you set the qualifier for the second position, now you're first. How did you gain the speed? What was different this time?
You know, the track was quite good just now, and we knew we had to, going into it, we analyzed everything. We knew we had to optimize our warm-up because the new tire is quite hard. It only switches on after 2-3 laps, so you want to kind of accelerate the warm-up procedure. And I felt like I was able to do that quite well. We got a good space on track, so yeah, it was a good lap. 31.8. P2 was 1.4 seconds back, which is a huge margin, so yeah, feeling pretty good.
And now Alistair is going to set the qualifying time for your race tomorrow. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, in practice he had quite good pace. He was pretty much on the pace, but we know that he has a lot in the tank because he was over pushing quite hard, and now we just analyzed and told him to like take a step back everywhere, and he will be a lot faster. So it's an easy fix for him, I think. I think he will be in the front as well. So.
Okay, so your work here is done for the day at least. Now let's see what Alistair does. Fingers crossed. Any advice for him?
Just keep your head down and push, honestly. He has scrub tires now. He doesn't need to force anything on the outlap, and he knows he has a pace, so doesn't really need to do anything heroic. Just make a lap, and he'll be in the front. So, yeah.
Okay, back to the studio.
Thank you, Xerxes. That was very insightful there from Nikhil Bora. Really good to see how he's been able to adapt it, and a very good performance. Pole position then from Q1. What's going to happen in Q2? Well, we've got 12 fresh pairs of feet in there, so it's going to be very interesting to see how it happens this time by.
Yeah, and can you believe that Nikhil Bora has only started car racing properly in race cars in 2021? That is quick, right? So suddenly he's really got a great chance. And now actually I want to hear who Sukhmani has with her. Let's have a quick look.
All right, I'm with Neil Jani once again, performing awesome all throughout. Well, you came in the second position today. Did you feel there was any challenge that you faced?
Yeah, I did actually. Struggled a lot with oversteer this run. We tried a few things against understeer, and we just thought we tried now for qualifying to change, and maybe we overdid it a little bit. Nevertheless, if the 31.8 Nikhil did, strong. I don't think I would have done that even with less oversteer, so that was a good lap from him.
Neil, I must say that you've been the consistent one all throughout. So do you plan to rectify or make any changes in the next round?
Yeah, for sure we're going to adapt the car still a little bit, because I only arrived this morning from London, so I'm a little bit late in, so we're still looking for a little setup changes. Let's see, we'll be there.
Like always, he always underestimates himself, but I'm sure you're going to be great, and it's already started raining. Well, back to the car, we're going to find a shade for ourselves. Bye.
Sugmani makes a good point. There could be rain on the way here potentially. Could be very interesting for Q2. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. So Q2 is coming up, and there's going to be 12 new drivers behind the wheel. Who's going to get the pole? Your guess is as good as ours. See you in a moment.
Loose graphics, stand by red, roll red and mix. 5. And roll loop. Roll red. And cue comment.
Q2 about to get underway here at the Madras International Circuit at Ringatu Katoi. Jake Sanson and Simil Arora in the commentary box, along with Suhail Chandok and Gaurav Batal on the sidelines. Sugmani Sadana and Xerxes Vadia are down in the pit lane. And here is the provisional results of qualifying 1. Nikhil Bora for Godspeed Kochi topping the timesheets in front of Neil Jani, Shahan Ali Mozin and Oliver Webb. 4 different teams in the top 4 places. Then an Indith Reddy in the second Hyderabad car. Mitchell Gilbert going P6 ahead of Bianca Bustamante and Fabian Volvend. Then the Chennai Turbo Riders and the Go Aces really struggling in Q1. John Lancaster ahead of the returnee Kevin Marokcha and Partha Gopada and Amir Syed. It'll be very, very tricky indeed. But now we come into Q2. Q2, and things are going to be even more interesting for Q2, because while you guys were on a break, we just had the mother of all rain showers that lasted about 49 seconds here in Sector 1, and that has caused a big, big problem because the circuit is damp in the final and first sector, but it's dry and sunny on the back of the circuit. So what do you do now in terms of strategy? You've only got one flying lap. This could be a real lottery.
Exactly, James, because as you rightly mentioned, the first part, the main straight, the first couple of corners, they're somewhat wet. Not completely, because the rain shower, as you mentioned, is only about 30-odd seconds, and you can see the cars, they've got some rain over there. But only part of it. We can see that now the drivers, as they were going out for the first qualifying session, was completely dry. Now, part of it is wet, and you can't do it like Formula 1, right? In Formula 1, you can go for one test lap and understand what the conditions are like and maybe come back with the right tires. Here, you've only got one lap. So if you decide to go on the wets, which I doubt they will because half the circuit is dry, they might end up going on the wrong tire. But if you end up going on slicks and you make one turn here at the first part of the circuit, you can spin out, you can crash it and down qualifying, and maybe even your first sprint could go for a toss. So, mental.
Well, the other thing that's particularly poignant about the way things have worked out from Q1 is that we've had this big rain shower out of Q1 going into Q2, but it's stopped as soon as it's arrived. But it's been a very heavy rain shower, so part of the circuit is now wet, part of the circuit is damp. But what that actually does, that rain shower, is it increases the humidity, and that's something that could actually play havoc with the setups of the car in preparation for Q1. For race 1, sorry. So that is a really interesting dynamic. You can see Bianca Bustamante there just chatting away to Rishon Rajiv. And Rishon Rajiv is one to watch in this particular session because he was fastest in practice yesterday evening, fastest in practice this morning. This kid has got a great opportunity. So down in pit lane, Xerxes Vardia has the lowdown on a circuit that is still trying to rain, and the rain has actually returned. What's Xerxes got downstairs?
Okay, so clearly the Chennai weather gods are being very unpredictable. It was bright and sunny, and suddenly rain has just poured in. All the cars that were ready to go out for Q2 have suddenly had to change tires. And right here we have Alistair with us. He's sharing the car with Nikhil, who set the fastest pole position. And now, Alistair, what's your strategy going to be with this unpredictable weather?
Well, first of all, awesome job by Nikhil to snatch pole like that. We're super happy. Yeah, light drizzle coming down, slowly getting heavier, but you know, as long as there's temperature on track and into tires, I think slicks is the way to go. We just got to make sure we work the surface temp and keep it clean for the lap, and I think the time will come to us hopefully.
Well, that's Alistair right there in number 2 for Godspeed coach. It is me, Xerxes, sending it back to the studio.
So what on earth do you do now in terms of strategy? Alistair Young basically playing caution. But this is tricky now. Part of the circuit's going to be damp, part of the circuit's going to be slick, and now the rain has actually returned on the main straight. It's not quite as heavy as it was, but it's threatening to come back. And look, you can see there the Speed Demons Delhi team preparing wet tyres. They're deciding they're going to go for cut slicks, essentially, which are the inters. So it's like a bit of a variation between wets and slicks. It's not quite wet enough around the whole circuit to go on the pure wet tyres. That's the thing. It's that balancing act. This is actually the nightmare scenario for a racing driver. It's not quite wet. It's not quite dry. You've got to really be on your nerve endings around this one flying lap.
And the one who gets pole position must be putting in an amazing lap time, because around over here, the conditions are so good, you can't be at 100%. You've got to do the Alan Prost philosophy, which is driving at your 80%, knowing that you've got something more in the bag, but deliberately not going there, because getting too close to that limit could mean that you make that one error. And now Fabian Woolven is just doing the traditional thing, sticking out just herself and realizing, okay, is it wet enough? Is it dry enough? What can we do? And I think she's gone for a signal that is change of tires, guys. So that's the best way to do it. Go out there, measure it up, and now, Jake, funnily enough, even that part of the circuit, the back end of the circuit, has a few clouds over there, but we can't tell at this stage if it's wet over there or not. So the drivers are clueless, we are clueless. This is just going to be a crazy qualifying session, which is going to be a shot in the dark, but the skills required for that, just to nail that one qualifying lap time, it's going to be fun.
It suddenly became the most watchable qualifying session of the season. There is the leaderboard after round 2. The Blackbirds from Hyderabad currently have a 54-point advantage after their triple in the race weekend last time out. Godspeed Kochi are only 20 ahead of the Bangalore Speedsters, though. It's mighty close between the Goa Aces and the Chennai Turbo Riders. And the Speed Demons Delhi had all sorts of mechanical problems last week. They really didn't get the points they deserved. So hopefully this is the week they come back into the standings and pick up a few more points. But how exciting is this qualifying session now? Rain has emerged. just at the start of Q2. Nobody has any rain running in an official session yet. They only have practice runs in slightly changeable conditions. This is fascinating. Here we go.
Exactly. And out of all these drivers, we've only got a few of them who've had that sort of running. We've had Ruhan Alva, Rishon Rajiv, Anshul Gandhi, Nikhil Havana. These folks have in the wet. But say for someone like Alistair Young, who wasn't there for pre-season testing, he doesn't know what this car feels like in the wet. Sandeep Kumar, of course, he knows the circuit in and out, but he doesn't know what this car feels like in the wet. So for everyone, there's going to be some sort of learning, and there we are. There is a proper shower. You can't ignore the wet tires anymore, but at the main straight, Jake, it's dry. It's drying out over here.
Yeah, it's very odd.
No. So as a driver, it's going to be so much about identifying the wetter patches and putting the throttle inputs properly, because the power to weight ratio of this car is insane. You put the throttle a bit too quickly and it will spin out. So it's going to be a delicate balancing act. You can push here, but you can't push at this part of the circuit. So it's going to be a mental challenge more than anything for them.
Well, this is where the more experienced racing driver can make a bit of a star turn here. The drivers such as Celia Martin and Sandeep Kumar have a little bit of wisdom on their side. They may be able to call this perhaps slightly better than the youngsters that go out for this one. But it's a tricky situation because part of the circuit is wet, part of the circuit is still dry, but you need a lot of standing water on the circuit for those tyres to really bite. At the moment, I would actually say those drivers that have gone to wets this early, they might have mistimed it. They might have been perhaps a little bit more cautious and just wait a few more minutes into the session to see what the rain is going to do. Because I've got the feeling that those who have waited, if the rain were to stop, say, in the next 30 seconds or so, and it certainly stopped as soon as it came last time we were in the rain shower, then you go slicks. The thing is, you need a large quantity of standing water to make those wet tyres work. If it's just a rain shower like this, you're not going to get the best of it because you need water to go through the tread to bite. Otherwise, you're basically just on ice skates the whole way around, no matter what you do. And we're at that very unusual blend line between a dry circuit and a wet circuit. And you only get one flying lap, so you've got to make it count. Those who have gone out early, this may backfire on them. We've still got 8 minutes to go. I think those that wait are actually going to have more cards to play with here.
Indeed, yeah. And you've got one flying lap, 8 minutes. Your flying lap can come any time between those 8 minutes, so it's your call.
Oh, look at the turning. Look at the turning from Lovenfors. She's got no grip at all.
So delicate, and this car, by the way, already is a tough one to turn in, right? Especially when you're following a car like the Go Oasis car is doing right now. So when you let the draw in the air, plus you've got water on the track, everything considered, this is going to be a tough qualifying session. And hey, catch out one thing, Jake, all these guys, apart from Gabriela Yilkova, Sandeep Kumar, and of course Celia Martin, most of these are proper youngsters. So Shah, 21, Rishon Rajiv 17, Ruhan Alva 17, Lola Lovenfors 17, Alistair Young around that age as well. So all of them barely have any experience in these conditions. This is going to be a proper maturing act for them, because after this qualifying session, they can go back in the driver database and say, wow, I have learned how to do this.
Well, this is fascinating because 7 of the drivers are currently out there on the circuit, but look who's still in pit lane. Rishon Rajiv, Nicole Haverda, Sandeep Kumar, Sohail Shah, Akash Gowda. They've all just decided, you know what? I can't decide whether it's slicks or whether it's wets, so we're just going to wait a minute. We're going to give ourselves a little bit more breathing space. So
it's kind of like one car per team in a way, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We've got Akash Gowda for Delhi, who's in the pits, and his teammate, of course, is on the track. So we've got that mixture where everyone's kind of putting one car in the pit lane to make sure that, okay, at least we can get one of them to test out what the conditions are and not compromise both of them.
Well, Haverda has obviously a little bit of American single-seater experience now. A month and a half ago, she was out at Button Willow in California, and she won both races that weekend. So she knows how to handle herself in a difficult spot. As they come across the line, let's see what lap times they're doing, because obviously it's going to be a dramatic difference compared to what we saw before, as Gabriela Yilkova moves over and lets Alistair Young overtake. But a fascinating dynamic. I'm not sure they've actually... This is now going to be the flying lap, is it?
I suppose it would be, because the last one had to be mostly the out lap, because that's when they came out of the pit lane. But yeah, Alistair Young is just clocked in, and I'm not sure if this is an out lap or their final lap. We shall get a confirmation in the time.
But look at the back end through this, the S section here. This is where you really have the issue, because you're getting on the throttle, you're trying to maximise acceleration, and there's so much standing water. He's actually bailing out and letting Gabriela Yilkova go back through. You could see where the back end was positioning. You're basically just on turn-in all the way through, and you're trying to grab a little bit of wheel. You're trying to grab the bike traction, and And that's it. You know, you're just sliding around everywhere. Alex Young's time is a 151.3. Yilkova a 154.3. So it's all about feel. And Young and Yilkova are not actually that far apart in dry conditions, but it's all about feel in these cars. And if the circuit is changeable, you've got no variation on anything in terms of grip. I actually think the 5 drivers that have waited, that have stayed in, they're going to get the benefit of this, because the track is, it looks like the rain is already stopping. So by waiting, they might just find, you know what? If we go slicks, enough of the circuit is slick that this might actually work in a favour. Look how much of a time loss there's been between Q1 and Q2. The best time is a 151.3. That's a big hammer blow. And I would think that's all based on grip on the cut slicks. Perhaps if they went for a full slick, they're actually going to get a bit better run of the circuit.
And now we can see the other cars coming out. Rishon Rajiv for Bangalore Speedsters, who was in the pit lane for that first one, is now coming out for his fastest lap. So I'm intrigued. Right now, Alistair Young is the benchmark. He set up a lap time of 1 minute 51.326. Behind him, you've got Gabriela Yilkova for the Goa Aces, and then Rohan Alva for the Godspeed Coach team. And then eventually the gap just keeps on increasing.
But check the Hyderabad Blackbirds. They are down in 5th and 6th. So for that race, they are going to be together on the 3rd row of the grid. So Neil Jani is going to have to do some overtaking. Bring it on.
And Anil Reddy as well. So
yeah.
Anil Reddy and Neil Jani will be lining up 6th and 5th respectively. That's a challenge, because so far this weekend, Jake, they've always been what? P1, P2, P1, P1.
I told you this weekend was going to be better than last weekend, and here it is. It's happening. Just to throw a little bit of rain onto the circuit, and all of a sudden we have no idea. Now, Rishon Rajiv, this is the man to watch. He was fastest in practice yesterday. He was fastest in practice this morning. But now the track is completely different. And look at the lack of grip he is getting off of the penultimate turn. This is where we're going to really see what Rishon Rajiv is made of. He turns into the final turn. Look, he's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. He's trying to bite the car on the inside of the apex. The back end's kicking out. I think he's on slicks. He's trying his best to see if he can lose as little time as possible. Into turn 1, he's trying to turn in. He is working that steering wheel so hard, just trying to get the car to turn in without any opposite lock. This is going to be so tricky. Look, he is wrestling with that steering wheel, just desperately trying to find anything from this circuit. And look, he's on slicks. Look, there's nothing. He is sliding around like a drunk dad at a wedding on roller skates right now. This is so tricky. Trying to get himself turned in, hugging the apex, riding the curves, trying not to throw it onto the grass each time. This is Rishon Rajiv in panic mode, just desperately trying to find something that this car can give him. And Nicola Verda, who's on her flying lap as well, she's had to get out of the way of Rishon Rajiv. This is going to be fascinating. The question is going to be, how much time has Young lost on cut slicks compared to how much time Rishon Rajiv is going to lose on slicks? This is going to be a fascinating dynamic as to who's going to get pole position.
So it's no longer a fight just between the drivers, it's now a fight between the tire compounds as well, and that just adds the elements up in this amazing qualifying session, which already feels like the best one we've ever had in the Indian Racing League, which of course we don't have a big pool to choose from, but nevertheless this is going to be quite a fantastic one.
34.7 in the first split.
Yeah, he's clocking in the best sector of the entire qualifying session.
Slicks was the way to go. So there's barely any grip, but there's no grip on either tyre. That's the big thing. There's no grip on either tyre, but it's how much you lose. And Sohail Shah has actually gone quicker still in Sector 2. So it's not just Rishon Rajiv who's got a chance. But look at that! A massive tank slapper coming over the crest on the way to the final turn. He's trying to bite the car in. The slicks are not handling it, but it's going quicker than the cut slicks. Is this going to be a pole position time for Rishon Rajiv? He comes across, and that is a pretty decent time, but Sohail Shah has gone even quicker. He's done a 146.1, so the difference in the time lost is a good 5 seconds. That's how important it was to wait. Rishon Rajiv does a 147.6. That's the difference. They've lost a good 4 seconds less than those on cut slicks. So cut slicks was not the way to go. Slicks was the right way to go. But neither had any grip.
Yeah, but they waited, and this means that Rishon and Sohail performed a perfect judgment, right? They thought, okay, we'll wait out. Let's see if the rain goes away. And the rain did, of course, not completely backed off, but it did alleviate a little bit. And that meant that even on a wet track, they were able to clock in a lap time almost 4 to 5 seconds. That is crazy. Jake. That's great judgment.
But you know what? This isn't over yet, because there are two cars that left it to the last possible minute to get out there on the circuit, and that's the Chennai Turbo Riders. They have literally left it to the last possible minute. Sandeep Kumar has only just crossed the line to start his flying lap with about half a minute still to go. So this isn't over. Nicole Haverda, if the track dries out quick enough, then the 16-year-old from California might just bang this on pole position. The youngest driver in the field is going for pole position in changeable conditions. If she can do it, well, the home fans are going to go bananas.
They already are on their feet. Every single fan out here is on their feet. They are so excited, as you should be, because there's so much volatility. There's Sohail Shah coming in the pit lane after clocking in the fastest lap time of the session and timing his run to perfection. 5 seconds faster than Alistair Young in P3. And now, let's wait and see what happens over here.
Well, what did Akash Gowda do? So Akash Gowda was only 10th. He didn't really get the... Oh, he hasn't quite finished the lap yet. So Akash Gowda... Oh, he's gone fastest! 1:42.0. So Akash Gowda has now gone quickest of all. That is amazing. Mitch Gilbert and the Speed Demons Delhi team absolutely beside themselves with joy, giggling away. See, we just waited. This is what to do. You just wait for that moment. And all of a sudden, they are in pole position, but we're not done yet, because we've still got the two Chennai Turbo Riders to come through. There comes the number 5 coming through. So that's Nicole Haverda. And what has Haverda done? So Nicole Haverda on her flying lap. This isn't done yet. This isn't over. So the two Chennai Turbo Riders.
And Nicole, it seems, is in P5 right
now.
Yeah,
1:53.1.
Yeah. But whatever means this, Akash Gowda for the Speed Demons Delhi, Jake, 4 seconds faster than Sohail Shah in the Goa Aces car. Sohail, wow, amazing. He's 5 seconds faster than everyone else. Akash Gowda in this number 11 car, I said that the timing, well, it matters. He's timed it to perfection, even more to perfection.
Kumar went second. Sandeep Kumar went second on a 1:45.3, so that confirms it. Speed Demons Delhi have come up with a pole position. The team that is bottom of the standings have come up with pole position for Akash Gowda just by biding their time, waiting to go onto slicks and leaving it to the last possible minute. That is an absolute curveball thrown to the rest of the teams. And look at where the Hyderabad Blackbirds are. They are 9th and 10th on the grid. That is how crazy this session has been. But Sandeep Kumar puts his car second on the grid. The Chennai Turbo Riders are going to be starting their race from the front row of the grid. That is an amazing turnaround. Look at the joy down at Speed Demons Delhi. They can't believe their luck. Pole position just by waiting. Brilliant.
Luck and skill as well, because the conditions were so tricky. There was still water on the track, and at any moment of time, Akash Gowda could have just slightly pressed the throttle too hard and his car could have been off in the grass. But the timing of the run was perfect. The lap was superb. They have absolutely nailed it. And now I'm thinking, what if you're Neil Jani right now? You've clocked in a great qualifying session for yourself, and now the Speed Demons Delhi team, they are celebrating. Luck has never been on their side so far this year. There's been technical issues, there have been crashes here and there, but at last, the elation, the joy of pole position.
They're celebrating like they've won the RRL. This is amazing.
They might do that because they've got such an amazing lineup as well. So if only luck works in their favour like this one, maybe we could see them competing. But now Shahan Ali Mohsin starts on pole.
Great skill from Akash Gowda. And all of a sudden, the 16-year-old superstar Shahan Ali Mohsin has a great chance of taking a win in his sprint race. This is an amazing turnaround. I did say that qualifying suddenly went nuclear. Even I didn't think that Speed Demons Delhi were going to get a pole position. That is amazing. This is like Kevin Magnussen in the Haas all over again.
And now Guy Incognito 801 has got an amazing comment on YouTube, and you're absolutely right. Fabian Wolven in P7, Oliver James Webb in P8, and Neil Jani in P10 for tomorrow's sprint race. That is an all-star lineup in the middle of the grid, check, and that's the place where all the craziness happens. So all these experienced drivers have to find a way around that. But I am amazed. Shahan Ali Mohsin is going to be on pole position. John Lancaster behind him for Sunday's sprint. That is going to be a fight and a half.
Do you know what? Last weekend was good, really good. Yeah. This weekend has already got better, and we haven't even started race 1 yet. Oh my goodness!
This is you over here.
Wow, I must be. I must come here more often. This is such a turnaround. Honestly, you wouldn't have predicted this going into the qualifying session. Mitch Gilbert, Celia Martin, Shahan Ali Mohsin, all smiles as their man Akash Gowda has gone pole position in Q2. And look at that. That's scenes there as well for Sandeep Kumar, who's just put the Chennai Turbo Riders on the front row of the grid for their race too. That is an amazing... Look at Sandeep Kumar. He is crying. What a great run that was for him as well.
You can barely see his eyes from the helmet, but whatever you can see the joy and the elation. Wow, what a time it must feel like to be him. But think of all the other drivers as well. Think of what it must feel like to be someone like Gabriela Yelkova or Rohan Alva for that matter. Because Rohan, by the way, got a pair of podiums in the last round. We know he's one of the better young drivers around here. But just because his qualifying run was poorly timed, there he is all the way in the back. Wow, wow, wow.
Do you know what? That's the widest I've seen Mitch Gilbert smile all weekend. They've had nothing but problems. And now pole position.
Wow, we've got Sukhmani right here with us, and she's going to talk to one of the drivers to tell us more about the conditions and how tricky they were. Tricky.
All right, I have Sandeep with me right now from Chennai on position 2. Congratulations. How do you feel?
I mean, it's really funny how the qualifying went. All of us were like different strategies, whether to go out in front or at the back. I guess it was a drying track, and then we took the best call to go out. And then, yeah, it's fun to drive in the wets because half of the track was wet and half of the track was dry. And with tinted visors, you couldn't make out where it was dry and where it was wet. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, it's good for the team. I think it's the best we've qualified in the season. And then, yeah, I'm looking hand it over to John to take it on.
But Sandeep, tell me, like, of course, the weather had a big play, happening, the role to play right now. But did it change your strategy at all?
Yeah, quite a bit. So I think we were the last team to get out. We waited to see what the weather was doing, and then we exited quite almost in the last minute, and then we got the last lap on the track. I think that's a good call from the team.
Okay, all the best for the rest of the race. Back to the comm right now. Thank you.
Well, Sukhmani's got Sandeep Kumar down there. We have to have an interesting one, but Xerxes has his own man down in pit road. This is going to be a good one.
Okay, we are live here with Akash. Akash, Speed Demons Delhi, #1, Q2. What the hell happened?
I mean, I think we just took a gamble. We went out in slicks, waited for everyone to go out. It was a risky move, but we pulled it off, and it worked perfectly on our favor. And now we're pole, and we're super excited because we know we have the pace. Last weekend also we had the pace, but unfortunately we did not finish any of the race. But this race we're planning to finish all the races on the podium, for sure.
So you answered all of my questions from what was the gamble to what are you going to do this weekend? You already told me what you're going to do this weekend. Yeah. How are you feeling about the cars? A little more about that, because what happened last weekend and what is happening this weekend?
I mean, last weekend it was a big hiccup. Like, everybody didn't expect, no one expected it from our team to have so many issues. But this weekend we looked strong. We don't have any issues, but we did have some issues in practice. But it looks like we sorted it out. But and you never know what's going to happen in the race. So, but we look forward to it because it's really hard to overtake here. And since last weekend, we haven't seen much of overtaking happening, apart from people being DNF and all that. So this way, we're going to look pretty confident, and we're going to finish on the top. For sure.
That's a big grinning Akash for you right now. I'm going to send this back to the comms for you to get a little bit of an analysis before the first sprint race. Let's go.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? If I go to the store and I buy some scratch cards, I'm taking Akash Gowda with me. That man has just stormed an absolute stormer. What an amazing run.
Seriously, Akash Gowda and then Sandeep Kumar timing his run as well. The way he positioned his car, the way he got that lap in as well, fantastic. But finally, luck is on Speed Demons Delhi's side. So it's fantastic. It's great to see them finally happy, because all this while their car hasn't quite working, something or the other is not quite going well. Wow, I want to see how things are going now. But now, firstly, we've got to go to Xerxes because he's got someone with him.
Okay, Sohail from Goa Aces is on position 3 in Q2. What was it like out there? It's sunny again. It was rainy for some time. And like, what was going on?
I mean, you know Chennai, right? It's gonna rain at one point, it's not gonna. So when it started drizzling, I mean, the team was completely unsure. We didn't know what to do. So we split the strategies. The other car was on slicks and I was on dries. And they chose to go out instantly, whereas me on wet tires decided to go out a bit later to see how the track evolves. We wanted to go to slicks later, but there was no time remaining. So we had to go out on wets. But at the end of it, I think the wets are still a good option, and we got light time in. We're third. So, I mean, it works.
And how does it feel to put Goa in the top 3? Like, I mean, last weekend was okay, but this weekend's looking a lot shinier. So what's the plan for the rest of the weekend?
For now, at least in practice, we had a lot of issues with the car. So hopefully, I mean, we didn't get a clean run in the dry, so we can't really tell if the car's fixed or not, but we hope it is. And going into the next race, I think I'm starting at the back. because my teammate had an unfortunate incident in qualifying. So I'm starting at the back. So hopefully the car's fine and we can make some progress out of it.
Okay, that was Sohail right here, and I'm going to send it back to the studio.
5 different teams in the top 5 places in a completely different order to Q1. It is going to be a phenomenal trio of races this weekend. And coming up after the break, we get rocking. Race 1 is on the way.
R1. This is R1. 2, 3.
R2, 1.
What a session Q2 has given us at the IRL. The youngsters coming to the fore, the weather playing its part as well. I've got Gaurav Dalal alongside myself, Suhail Chandok here. And Gaurav, Akash Gowda for Delhi, putting it on pole against the odds. Chennai with a front row start, courtesy Sandeep Kumar. And obviously, he's put the car on pole for John Lancaster. But Goa, Delhi, Chennai, 3 guys who we did not expect to fill the top 3.
Mad, Suhail, mad. I don't think we could have asked for a better qualifying session at all. The rain gods came and created this havoc. And like you said, it's teamwork.
It absolutely is. I mean, you started that session. We had the Hyderabad boys heading out. We had Lola as well for Hyderabad heading out, but it wasn't to be for them. What a moment it was, though, for the Delhi squad. Overall, you've got to say, for a team like that, sitting bottom of the points table, Gaurav, to see Akash Gowda top of the timesheets is a huge lift.
No. You need that booster. You need that. They were really down and under, and they totally needed that. And like I said, teamwork. God was on their side over here. So he came, poured showers for about 10 minutes, created confusion, total havoc in the pit lane. They had to move to Inter's tyre change, and then half of the grid actually just waited and played cool the first half of qualifying.
Yeah, it was smart work from the teams who actually put one car out on track, kept the other in the pit lane. And what this means actually is that Akash Gowda, while he's put the car on pole, he's actually put it on pole for Shahan. The 17-year-old will start in pole position. You've got Sandeep Kumar, who's put it in second for John Lancaster. Remember, the man or the woman who qualifies for their teammate, and that's quite a cool initiative as well, Gaurav.
That's the idea of it being a team
Exactly.
event. It's not an individual sport anymore over here. So strategy really played very well over here. The teammate actually went and looked at the track condition on how wet it was, and just waiting that extra 4-5 minutes, Chennai, because of its heat, the track dried up so fast, and they became 7-8 seconds quicker.
You know what I'm looking forward to is Ollie Webb and Neil Jani are going to be starting 9th and 10th. That is going to be some spectacle, them charging through the pack.
No, that's actually going to be a very interesting race, and for them to actually dice through the entire pack and try and find their way up in front, that's again going to bring in their experience over here in how to play cool at the start and not mess up the entire race.
You know, Gaurav, we've seen a lot of races here at the Chennai circuit over the years. This
Absolutely.
is promising to be a really good one.
No, it's definitely going to be a good one. If you're sitting in Chennai, make sure you come here tomorrow to watch the races live.
Yeah, the Madras International Circuit is where it's at. It's been incredible to watch so far. But just in terms of what we can expect, Gaurav, from this race as well, you've got Ollie Webb, and obviously we talked about Neil Jani from the back, but the youngsters out in front.
No, it's going to be very interesting because one is the sun's again out blazing, so we're not going to have any weather to play havoc over here. So I think the drivers have qualified in a very confused spot, if I may say so, as in because you have your top experienced drivers at the back of the grid and the youngsters putting in some good quality timings. And not to forget our young boy, local boy Sandeep.
Yep.
He knows the track very well. He knows how it is when it's wet. So it's going to be an interesting race now.
Yeah, he's put it on the front row for the Chennai side as well. We've got to know some of the teams a bit better. We're trying to understand how you guys at home can get to understand how to differentiate the cars and drivers. Well, Jake's got us covered.
So here's a question for you. How do you differentiate two different racing drivers out on the same bit of racetrack? Well, one of the easiest ways is by their helmet design. Each driver chooses their design based on their own personal preference. Just tell us why you've chosen this particular design. What does it say about you?
I actually designed this helmet myself. First time designing a helmet, so red and black because I really love the two colors. Yellow because my grandmom really wanted me to put the color yellow into the helmet. Obviously got the sponsor logos, got a god like an idol on the top to keep me safe.
I went with the Malaysian flag, red, white, yellow. Missed out the blue this time. Tried to change it for this chameleon coloring to make it a bit more striking, a bit more identifiable. So yeah, that's what we've gone with this year.
I knew I had to put a Canadian flag since I'm representing Canada. Gotta have that there, and I thought a big design would be very nice. Pink stands for I'm a girl, so I gotta show it on track, and when I'm wearing it, it just makes me feel bright. And it was actually really cute because it defines that I'm a woman racing. And yeah, that's my helmet.
Well, I tried to go for a little bit more of a simple helmet design in most recent years, and I've always used red, black and white as my colours. Normally it's been reverse of that, and red and black has been the main colours, but got the Le Mans track on the top with my old Le Mans racing number, and then I've got the names of all my favourite corners around the Le Mans track with the GPS imprint on the side. So it's clean on the front, bit busy on the back, but white enough to be distinguishable.
There's so much emotion behind a driver's helmet, Gaurav. Thinking back over the years, some of your favourites, what would they be?
Absolutely. Helmet actually speaks a lot about the soul of the driver, as in his emotion and what he wants to showcase. As in F1, of course, you have your Hamiltons and Maxes, your Schumachers trying to bring in something wild and wacky, and when they want to support something, a good cause. Black Lives Matter was actually something that was very hardly showcased through helmets. So helmet communication is something that is very individual. That comes from the heart of the driver.
It does come from the heart of the driver. Speaking of conditions here and hearts of the drivers, a lot of hearts will be beating for the Chennai squad because for a change, we talked about them wanting to put a car on the front row. Sandeep's done it for them.
Yes, but that is your second race. Right now it is Alistair Jung and Akhil Rabindra of Kochi and Hyderabad who are in the front row. And we have Akash Gowda and Anshul from Delhi and Bangalore who are up.
Yeah, I think we should get a good look at the grid formation for this first race. We've got a second sprint to come on Sunday. but this is how they will line up for race 1. Akhil Rabindra alongside Alistair Young, the son of Alex Young, obviously on the front row. He's taken pole. We've got Anshul Gandhi, Akash Gowda in third, Anshul Gandhi in fourth. Then Lola and Celia Martin on the third row, followed by Rishon Rajiv and Ruhan Alva. Then Sandeep Kumar for the Chennai Turbo Riders, who actually put it on the front row for his teammate alongside Gabriela Yilkova. And finally, Nicole Havada and Sohil Shah bringing up the rear. So for Alistair Young, Gaurav, racing here in Chennai, his dad has been to these parts of the world as well, raced here in the past. It's a good feeling for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we mentioned last time, as in he definitely has his dad's blood in him to actually come out. The last weekend he was here at a 3 a.m. flight and within no time in the driver's seat and out at qualifying. And what did he do? He did brilliantly, and today he's starting out at pole. So I think Alistair is up for a good race. But what I want to actually watch, and what actually in that grid position really caught my eye, was Ruhan and the youngster next to him, who is Rishon Rajiv. They are two brilliant drivers, and I think it's good to go. It'll be interesting to watch them through the first few corners.
Yeah, and also when you look at the Hyderabad squad, they are the points table leaders. You've got Akhil Rabindra on the front row. His teammate is not going to be on the front row whatsoever, so a bit more pressure on Akhil Rabindra to bring home the points.
I think definitely pressure on Hyderabad itself, as in with the way they've had luck going for them the last weekend. I'm sure they've got ants in their pants this weekend.
Yeah, you know, these boys have done a great job. Some of these girls who've come in from over borders have done a tremendous job as well. Let's get to know some of them a bit better. Let's start with Akash Gowda.
Hi, I'm Akash Gowda. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Bangalore. I've done Formula 3 Asia, Formula 4 Japan, Formula 4 Southeast Asia. I've been a national karting champion. I've been a Formula 4. I finished third in the championship. And in the past 2 years, I haven't raced much, but I'm hoping this brings a change to my career. I think racing is always something that I find challenging, but I never found it as challenging as motorsports. And I always liked it when, you know, living on the edge and being on the edge. So I think that adrenaline rush is what keeps me going and keeps pushing me further and further ahead.
He's a good kid, Akash Gowda. He starts third for the Speed Demons from Delhi. And they need a good race, Gaurav, because they are at the bottom end of the points table as it stands.
No, they definitely. And I think so far they've had a good weekend. And I think there's nowhere going below this. It's all upwards for Delhi from here on.
Well, there's a lot of drivers who will be cagey. They'll be waiting to get going. But we've got Saumil Arora on the grid to take us through a nice little grid walk.
Wow, we're here on the grid, folks. Look at all the fans over there. There's hundreds of them turning up out here. So excited. And we've got Alistair Young for Godspeed Kochi on pole position. Let's see if we can actually go and have a word with Alistair for a second. Alistair, good morning. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very good, sir. Pole position, clear road up ahead. Best thing to do, right?
Yeah, great, especially around here where it's difficult to overtake.
Hopefully it is. But what's your plan, mate? How do you think things are going to pan out? There's a lot of really good drivers at the back over there.
I don't care who they are. They're not coming past.
Absolutely. All the best, mate. Take care. Alistair Young with some great words. I don't care who all the drivers behind me are. I'm going to get all of them behind me. So that's incredible to see. We've got, of course, the Blackbirds Hyderabad car. Akhil Rabindra, home hero right here. Of course, he's from nearby as well, and he's of course in second place. He's going to be a major challenger because Akhil Rabindra won the second sprint race of the Indian Racing League last Sunday, and he's going to be a major challenger. But let's actually follow through. Let's actually find some interesting people, because I saw a couple of interesting singers. We found Mr. Naresh Iyer and Mr. Karthik. So great singers here in South of India, and they're on the grid. Let's see if we can potentially find them, or maybe if not, potentially we can find a couple of drivers here and there as well, if we can find Akhil Rabindra too. But hey, we found Shahan Ali Motion. Shahan, actually, Aditya Patel, he is one of the founders of the series. Aditya, great to have you. Great to see the cars racing. How proud does this moment feel like to have the Indian Racing League, a league that you created, finally going racing?
Yeah, it's a great moment, I think, for us as organizers, but for the young Indian drivers as well, the boys and girls from around the world. Everybody's really been looking forward to it, and last weekend was a huge success. I think the crowds are loving it today. So I'm looking forward to some great racing. Qualifying was super exciting, and this format mixes it up a little bit. So I think the first race is going to be great.
So I know you can't really pick a favorite out. It's like picking a favorite out of all your kids, right? But who would you have to pick? Hyderabad or Delhi or Bangalore? Who do you think wins this one?
Oh, tough one. I mean, Alistair's great. Akhil won races last weekend, and they're both on the front row. Akash has put it on pole for the second race, and he's starting third. So it's hard to pick. So I don't know. It's going to be a great race to watch.
Hopefully it's going to be fun. Thank you for your time, Aditya. Great speaking to you. Now, it's amazing as we get into Indian Racing League. We've been dreaming about this for so long. But let's actually see if we can find a couple of other drivers and interesting personalities on the grid. It all tends to be a little impromptu around here because this place is often so hectic. But let me find some. There's Akash Gowda. Can I find him very quickly? No, he's slightly busy. But folks, we'll get to Akash, all the others later. Right now, Alistair Young is in pole position. Akhil Rabindra behind him. This is going to be an incredible battle. Folks, you've got to watch this one at Star 2. Be right here.
Thanks for that, Somil. Yeah, it is chaos on the grid quite often.
Yes,
you can hear the
absolutely.
hooter going as well.
Yes.
Gaurav, you've got the two girls on the third row, Celia Martin and Lola. That should be a great charge from them.
No, it's very interesting to see these two women over here who've got brilliant talent coming up with them and the races that they're doing all across the globe. But it's going to be interesting as to which one of them is going to be on top at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, and then Alistair for Kochi, he'll be chasing a win. He was a bit disappointed not to get there.
Oh, yes. The feature race last weekend, Alistair in the second corner tried overtaking from the outer. And C2 over here, you do that on the outer, is going to take you out.
It is cruel.
So he's going to have the jitters, definitely. But I'm sure he's a young, smart driver and he'll make sure he keeps Akash behind him.
He'll want to do just that. We'll have live action on the other side. This is what you've been waiting for. The first sprint race of the weekend coming up next.
जाके लेके आ जाइए वो आदत ही नहीं हम लोगों का
राहुल भाई अभी तो इधर खड़ा होगा ना गाड़ी
Round 3 of the Indian Racing League 2022 is about to get underway, and here are the sprint race grid positions. Alistair Young will give Godspeed Kochi a run to the first corner from pole position. The Blackbirds Hyderabad man, Akhil, is going to be there in position 2. Akhil Rabindra. Then it is Speed Demons Delhi right up in third position. Akash Gowda fresh off the back of pole for race 2 for his teammate, but he's there on P3 of the grid. Then Anshul Gandhi. Lola Lovinfoss will go off P5. Celia Martin, fabulous for her to go off P6 for Speed Demons Delhi. Then it is Rishon Rajiv in the Bangalore Speedsters, Ruhan Alva for Godspeed Kochi, and then a pair of Chennai Turbo Riders and a pair of Goa Aces. This is going to be a fabulous race. It's still a little bit out of position compared to what we saw last week. I'm Jake Satson, beside me is Suhail Chandok. This is going to be a fabulous first sprint race of the weekend.
This is going to light it up. Things are dry, sun's up, let's get going.
The fans in the stands are going bonkers for the guys from Chennai Turbo Riders. They are ready for an excellent race, and Suhail, this is a really exciting race challenge for us for the Madras International Circuit. It's going to be 20 minutes plus the additional lap. It's very, very close, and the unpredictability is sky high here.
It really is. We've got the crowd out here as well. The sun's out too. As we said earlier, it is the Indian mecca of motorsport, and we can't wait for this weekend to get going. Q2 was absolutely spectacular, special to watch. And if that's a sign of things to come, Jake, it is going to be a very special afternoon of motorsport.
And with drivers slightly out of positions in the midfield, having to try and make some progress, you are guaranteed to see some overtakes as drivers are trying to work their way back into position. A couple of them are on the back foot, and obviously having had that earlier rain in qualifying, it makes for an interesting battle. The pace car is going to lead them away, and so we are on the formation lap. The fans in the stands gathered on the start-finish straight to get the start, and we've got a car stationary on the starting grid, not going anywhere. That is a big problem.
Yeah, he's moving now. Finally got going, I think, towards the back end. I think it was Sohail Shah for the Goa Aces, possibly. And I think he's okay in the end, but dicey.
Yeah, you don't need that on the way to the grid, that is for sure. Not exactly the situation that any of the drivers want to face going into the start of this race. So now we are in position and we are ready to get going for the third round of the championship. And it is, of course, the first of those 3 races. 20 minutes incoming. And for the front row men, it's going to be very, very tight off the front end of the grid. Alistair Young had a big moment in the feature race last week when going for the victory. That's got to be playing on his mind just a little bit here, Suhail.
It really is. You know, I walked into the circuit today and caught up with him, and I said, well done last week. And he goes, nah, not really. Would have wanted a bit more. And he's hungry for success. You can see it. He's someone who's just launched himself into the IRL, wants success early, and I think he's going to get it at some stage as well. For me, it's not a question of if, but when with Alistair Young, but just the circuit as well. As we've talked about, it's a flowing circuit. Drivers love coming here, and I think Chennai has a lot to offer to the IRL, and we're so glad to have it back in back-to-back weekends.
And I tell you what, 3 drivers to watch for in this race in particular from the get-go. Anshul Gandhi, P4 on the grid, very fast indeed for the Bangalore Speedsters on the outside of that second row. He's got to make a big impact. And what about the 2 drivers on row 4? Rishon Rajiv on the inside, Ruhan Alva on the outside. That could create some fireworks.
I was just going to say, the 2 17-year-olds, Ruhan Alva for Godspeed Kochi. And then you look further down, Sandeep Kumar, who put it on the front row for his teammate tomorrow, John Lancaster. He's got to have a bag full of confidence in him as well. And then Sohail Shah behind them. These are young boys who've been around a long time. Sandeep knows this circuit at the back of his hand. And I think for him, he will want to charge through the grid and showcase the racing ability that we've seen over the years as well.
And the local fans here for the Chennai Turbo Riders will need to keep an eye on their lady at the back of the grid, Nicole Haverda, 16 years of age, a month and a half ago at Buttonwillow in California. She dominated her 2 races in American Formula 3 effectively, so she's got the ability to work her way up through the grid. This is all going to come down to confidence. The safety car is going to peel in now, and so we are going to gear up for a rolling start. Alistair Young on the left of your screen, Akhil Rabindra on the right of your screen. Rabindra picked up a win last week, but now it's time for Alistair Young to step out of the shadows and into the limelight. The Malaysian is going to be pushing hard from the outset here, And all of the competitors are ready for the rolling start. They're there in position as we watch Ruhan Alva alongside Rishon Rajiv. Both drivers are going to be trying to charge their way through from the outset. The flags are waving on the main straight. The lights are ready to go out. And we're under starter's orders. Up to the first corner. Good start from Rabindra, but he doesn't go aggressive. There's a problem on the start for one of the cars going slowly already. As up through the first corner, that is the number 10 pushing the way forward for the team from the Speed Demons Delhi. Up into third position for the 11 car. Up to fourth for Celia Martin. Brilliant start from her. She gets up into P4. All of the doubts that were on her over the course of last week are now put to sleep. Excellent start. It was a slow start there for Anshul Gandhi, who dropped all the way to the back of the grid side. That is disastrous.
Yeah, that is disastrous for the Bangalore Speedsters, but I think for Alistair Young, he'll just be glad he's kept his nose clean. He's out in front, and given what we saw yesterday, or last weekend rather, Alistair Young's demons have been put behind him, and that's a great start. For the Chennai squad, they're second last and third last, and they're going to have to make a lot of headway from here on.
Well, watch Alistair Young's body language in the car. He's going to do a Gandalf impression now. You shall not pass. This is going to be fascinating as he runs through for this first lap, keeping it nice and clean. But Rabindra already putting him under pressure. A bit of dust kicked up in the background as Akash Gowda now runs in third position. Fourth place is Celia Martin. After the difficulties she had last week spinning off in her sprint race, she's now up in P4. Take that, doubters.
Absolutely. We were talking about that lockout between Lola and Celia Martin. They're going well in 5th and 6th. Ruhan Alva, watch out for that combination. Ruhan Alva and Rishon, they're going to have to charge through at some stage, but just think that there's a bit more bite to Akhil Rabindra. He's sizing up an opportunity, and I think Alistair Young is going to have to watch his back here.
So there they are. There is Alva and Rishon Rajiv, and it is actually Alva in front of Rajiv. So that is an interesting one as they come through over the top of the crest. The top three have gone clear, and now Alva has managed to get through past Celia Martin. So too is Rishon Rajiv. Where is Celia Martin? She's dropped back a bit now. She was in P4, so she's lost a bit of ground over the first couple of corners of the race, I think. And that is Lola Lovinfoss now finding herself behind those two 17-year-olds, working their way through the craft as well. So where is Celia Martin? She seems to have dropped to the back of the field, unfortunately. She seems to have had an issue midway round the opening lap, and there she is battling away with Sandeep Kumar at the back of the grid. But there is number 3, Rishon Rajiv, still trying to work his way through the pack and making good progress. He's up to P5 behind Rabindra, Gowda and Alva.
I think that could be the battle for the middle part of this race. Ruhan Alva and Rishon Rajiv, two young men, brave, fearless. They are hungry for success, and they know that this is their opportunity to step into the spotlight. There you go, number 3. That is Rishon Rajiv. He is chasing down Ruhan Alva, and there's not much between them.
So a big battle starting to brew between these two men then. Ruhan Alva and Rishon Rajiv. Behind them is Lola Lovinfoss, running in a very solid 6th place. Then Gabrieli Yankova, the Czech driver from Prague, in front of Sohail Shah. So Shah has made up 4 places already. Then Nicole Haverda, the Canadian, doing a fair job there in 9th place, in front of Sandeep Kumar. Then Celia Martin, having had that spin earlier on. And Anshul Gandhi, some kind of difficulty. Now, apparently there is a false start being investigated. Now, that is interesting. Not entirely sure who that relates to, but on the timing screen I've got in front of me, false start being investigated. We don't have a driver that's been identified yet, but certainly somebody is going to come a cropper with officials, as there is again Rajiv trying to put pressure on Alva.
He seems to have got it in control for now, Ruhan Alva, but just think about that long section of corners, 5, 6, 7. I think that's where he might make a bit of a dive, Rishon Rajiv. It takes a bold move around the MIC to get the job done, and you've got to have a fair bit of racing. Give someone a bit of space, they will take it and knock that car in, and this is the opportunity right here in the slipstream.
Oh, here's the opportunity. Rishon Rajiv is going to commit to it on the inside right with the left-hander, but Ruhan Alva still has space through right, but he got twitchy on the way off the apex, and that's enough for Rishon Rajiv to cement the move. That was beautiful from Rishon Rajiv. He put pressure on Ruhan Alva. He gave him the chance to have a little bit of room, but he was the one who made the mistake, not Rishon Rajiv. So Rajiv holds the place. That was very good on the intimidation.
Really smartly done. It was the end of the long straight. He knew that was a spot for him. Then leading up to the long section of corners. Look at that. Perfectly so close. Inches away. But dives in down the inside. That's okay. That's a little argy-bargy. Get the shoulders up. Why not? Clean racing though.
Bit of trading paint, unfortunately. And there's a slow car moving, dropping down through the field now. Now, who is that? Having a difficulty. Don't tell me that is Akash Gowda, who was running up in 3rd position, because I think there could be a bit of an issue there for one of the cars in the middle of the pack, slowing. So we need to identify the driver involved in that one. It is! It's Akash Gowda! Akash Gowda has dropped out of 3rd position. Oh, and that's Celia Martin. So the Speed Demons Delhi race falls apart in the space of 30 seconds. And Celia Martin has spun off the circuit there. So what that means is, and that's a retirement, I'm afraid, for Sohail Shah of the Goa Aces. So Sohail Shah having a problem. It's just all suddenly come apart.
I was just going to say, it's all coming apart now. Right here, the heat is on, well and truly, but this is still the battle to watch now. Anshul down at the back of the track. You've also got to talk about Akash Gowda, because as he started to slow, you've got to feel for it, because he's someone who's actually got pace on his side. He's in third spot at the moment, but he's got the pace to actually chase down Akhil Rabindra as well.
Well, with Gowda having problems, I think that has actually now promoted Rishan Alva to third position. It hasn't updated on my timing screen, sadly, but I think he managed to get through on that last lap. They're passing the scene of Celia Martin's car. Now, Martin's car is offline enough that I think they can just commit to waved yellows there rather than a safety car, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, look, yellow flags are out. So there is Alva, now running in third. Lola Lovinfoss running in P5 now as a result of Akash Gowda dropping back. I think Gowda has managed to recover as Celia Martin sadly walks away. She had an amazing start, got up to fourth position, but it's clear that this car is still not quite right yet.
You've got to feel for her. It's not the first weekend where she's had a few troubles. She was in the mix, Jake, and for me, I really, really feel for someone like Celia Martin. We've seen her craft her way through the pack around the world, and she would have loved nothing more than a good result here for Delhi.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to prove your worth. You've got to prove that you have the staying power to make this work. Alistair Young leading the way. The Malaysian doing a sensational job at the moment. Akhil Rabindra still running there solidly in second position. Speed Demons Delhi's hearts have just sunk there, unfortunately, because their race was going so beautifully at the start. And now Akash Gowda has slipped to sixth position, I can tell you, behind Lola Lovinfoss. But he has kept going. There he is in front of Gabriela Yilkova. And now here comes Rishan Rajiv battling away with Ruhan Alva. Alva's gone back through. So Alva's made the overtake. Rishan Rajiv does not want to let him have it. He's going to go the long way round this time. Ruhan Alva places in there. This is going to be side by side. Can he hold it round the outside? He does! Oh, what a move from Rishan Rajiv.
It's a smart move, because now he's got the inside line for the next set of corners, and that is a very, very smart bit of driving from Rishan Rajiv. Not for the first time. It's the same part of the circuit as well. That turn 5, 6 and 7 into that long right-hander. He knows when to size up the opportunity, and yet again waits for it in the slipstream, and then darts to the outside. That is a gutsy bit of overtaking.
This is the kind of talent we expect from Rishan Rajiv. This is why he was selected to represent India in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy 3 years ago on the world stage. He isn't just a great driver in India, he is a great promising young talent for the future. And with moves like that on Ruhan Alva, he's definitely one to watch. Lola Lovinfoss finds herself just behind these two now, but they're starting to edge away.
Just talking about the caginess of these young drivers as well, Jake. They want the fight, and just like that, Rishan Rajiv has pulled off a gap as well. Very, very quickly, over half a lap from the back part of the circuit over to the main straight. He's got a second and a half on Ruhan Alva already. He has put pedal to the metal.
Oh, we've got an update on our timing screens. Two drivers have been given an investigation into a false start. Number 1, that is Ruhan Alva. That's very unfortunate. And number 7, that is the Goa Races driver Gabriela Yilkova. So big problems for those two, but they've now been found to be under false start. Now we'll have to see what penalty they're going to get for that, but it does look as though they have been found guilty of a false start. That's particularly harsh for Ruhan Alva.
Absolutely is, and that is actually Gabriela Yilkova chasing down Akash Gowda. And we said earlier, Akash seems to have a bit of car trouble, and he's sort of fading backwards into Gabriela's sights. So for her, that could be a costly penalty. But this is the Chennai squad. We haven't seen much of them, have we?
Yeah, they've really struggled. Oh, and that's a big swap of ends for Anshul Gandhi. He's had a nightmare race ever since the start. And Anshul Gandhi spinning to the back of the field. Very unfortunate for the Bangalore Speedster. So I'm afraid, there he is. He has got going again, fortunately. So it's not a safety car. But, well, unfortunately, Anshul Gandhi's race has just fallen apart underneath him right from the start. So now the Chennai Turbo riders are running in unison. So Nicole Haverda in front of Sandeep Kumar. And Nicole Haverda, can we just point out how strong a race this is from Nicole Haverda? She is just 16 years of age. She is the youngest driver in the field, and she is putting on a great show.
The sweats will be on in the Chennai camp, though. They don't want to see both those drivers go toe-to-toe and knock each other off. But this should be a great battle. Teammates they might be, but there's still points up for grabs. This is going to be a nice battle to watch.
Well, this is the cardinal sin of motorsport. You don't want to commit. Whatever you do, you can race each other cleanly, you can go for the overtake, you can even trade a little bit of paint if you need to, but do not take each other out. That's the cardinal sin in motor racing within any team. And Sandeep Kumar is the one with the advantage here of knowing the circuit. Nicole Haverda has youth and exuberance on her side. This is a great battle between the teammates.
It really is. Sandeep Kumar, he's brimming with confidence after that quali session of his, putting it on the front row for tomorrow for George Lancaster. But this is the opportunity yet again. Down that back straight. The long straight is the spot where we've seen the most overtaking. Not that time, not close enough.
Yeah, you've really got to time it right, and Sandeep Kumar will know where to put the position of the car on the circuit. He'll know whether to go for the left or the right side, depending on how much traction there is on the inside, how many marbles you'll find on that outer line. It's all very tactical. You have to be very precise about when you go for the move here, because those bumps catch you out. You can pull alongside another driver if you've got enough space, but if you hit the bump at the wrong angle, that's going to throw the car completely out of kilter as you approach the braking zone.
The one thing I will say, Sandeep Kumar knows every bump on this circuit, and he is the man who could get that job done. He looks the quicker of the two drivers at the moment, but as the great Murray Walker once said, catching is one thing, passing is quite another, and at the moment he hasn't found a way past his teammate.
Well, Alistair Young has the determination to keep it out there in the lead and is doing a fantastic job. The Malaysian following very much in his father Alex's footsteps. Alex, of course, made it all the way to Formula One with Minardi in the 2001 and 2 seasons. And now Alistair Young carving out very much his own path, and it looks as though the stone has fallen very close to the tree.
Seems like a little bit of trouble for Ruhan Alva. He had Rishon Rajiv, who was hunting him down, and now that he's gotten away from him, he's got Lola chasing him down. So a little bit of pressure piling on Ruhan Alva, who seems to be dropping back a bit.
Ahmed Ibrahim, a very proud man watching the championship unfold in quite an exciting battle. This has been a real testament and a real dedication to just how much work these guys have put in to put this show on. It's not just been about putting some drivers together and putting some cars on the circuit and letting it go. They've come up with a unique format, a very interesting one for motorsport, something that's very different to anything else in racing. The drivers have been learning the car and learning the circuit as the weekends have been going on. They've had limited training time, they've had difficulties coming through, and it's really spiced things up. And even the likes of Neil Jarney are struggling to get these cars stopped in the braking zones. So it is a real challenge for everybody. It's an amazing indication of what these guys have. Is it raining? It's raining! It started raining on the far side of the circuit.
It is, and so often over the years. I've been here a long time now, Jake, and
safety car.
So often as the safety car comes out, we talk of the rain being in one part of the circuit, the rear part of the circuit.
And
there we go.
That's Akhil Rabindra. Akhil Rabindra, look at the rain in the final turn. Rabindra's had absolutely no grip whatsoever and skated off at the final turn. Akhil Rabindra is out.
From second in the race, Akhil Rabindra for the Hyderabad Blackbirds is off. Alistair Young is coasting at the moment. The safety car is out. That is a costly mistake.
And look at the rain now. That is absolutely apocalyptic out there at the far part of the course. And they're all on slick tyres. With 7 minutes to go, this is now just simply a case of staying on the road. That's all there is.
I'm going to make a bold call when this gets going again. Rishon Rajiv is going to be a young man to watch, because he's now in second spot. When this race gets going again, he could be really looking for that win. And there is Akhil Rabindra. He's gotten going again.
Well, this is an interesting one. I don't know what the regulations are, because if you're allowed to come into the pits and change tyres mid-race, if you're at the back of the grid, do it. For goodness sake, do it. Because that could be the difference between coming first and coming last.
Look at this section though, Jake. It's dry.
Yeah, it's dry.
It is bone dry here. And that is how incredible this circuit often is as well. It is a large circuit in terms of the area land as well here in Chennai. And this is just such a dynamic race. We saw it in qualifying as well.
Red flag. Well, yeah, I think, to be honest, looking at how heavy it's got on the main straight, that was the only call. It was the only call. I mean, you can say, well, just let them race, but no, when you've got slick tyres with a car that's so brittle, it's so delicate, and you've got to remember that these are motorcycle engines. It's not going to be able to run at anything. When you're on slick tyres with this kind of monsoon condition, it's a nightmare. So they need to come into the pits, put wet tyres on and go back out.
Absolutely the right call. I think a great call from the stewards. You also want to see good racing. You don't want to see these guys go spinning off. There's a lot that's at stake here in this championship, and that is a great call, actually. Coasting now, the race will come to a halt and restart. What a difference there is, though, from one part of the circuit to the other. It is pouring down there. and it's absolutely dry at another part of the circuit. These are wild scenes in Chennai.
Wow, this is...
Welcome to Chennai, Jake.
Yeah, welcome to Chennai, absolutely. I mean, last week was exciting, but this week, well, anything that can happen is probably going to. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And what we've got now is a little bit of an unclear case, because we've still got, I think when the red flag flew, we still had about 6 minutes or so in play, plus the additional lap. Now, I'm not sure what the case is going to be, but they can bring it into the pits, put wet tyres on, and then hopefully restart. But it just depends on how much standing water there's actually going to be around the circuit. Because as you say, Sahel, the far side of the circuit is still bone dry, and the near side, as you can see, is absolutely monsoon.
Yeah, this is typical Chennai weather in some sense. December, the rains, the monsoons start to hit. It makes things exciting for some, but this is beyond exciting. Unfortunately, this could be carnage if they kept going. So it is the right call. They'll come back into the pits. We'll give you an update on when the race will restart, should it happen. But for now, Alistair Young leading. You've got Rishon Rajiv and Ruhan Alva, who kept it together. And I think at that stage, it was just about seeing the rain come down, that pouring rain, and just keeping it on track, as slow as it may have been, just staying the course.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Now, if the race were to restart, we're going to have a look at this, because there could be an argument to suggest that Rabindra could get to start again from P2 if they backdate the results by a lap. So it's a difficult one to predict, because they did cross the line to start another lap before the red flag came out. So I'm not sure they're going to backdate it a lap or not. So we have to wait for official confirmation. But it looks as though, well, they're coming into their garages, whether that's to change tyres or whether that's today is over, get ready for race 2 tomorrow, we don't know yet. So we'll wait for official confirmation before we have anything. We certainly didn't see the checkered flag on the main straight. That would be the way to tell, because if they declare the race, then they'll make it a checkered flag along with the red flag, and we didn't see that. So I think the jury is still out at the moment. We don't know whether we're going to restart this race or not, so we'll just wait for confirmation.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it chucking it down in front of us, actually, in the commentary box as well. So the rain isn't easing up just yet. I think we are going to have to wait for official confirmation. But for now, Lola, a good try from her as well, Jake. Given all that was going on around her, she kept her head in the game. She kept it smart. And nice words coming in from Ollie Webb as well. He's a senior campaigner in the mix, and he is a wise head on those shoulders.
Okay, so it's not quite clear yet what the situation is. Rain has stopped play here at the MIC. Well, hopefully we'll be back for more when the race will hopefully resume.
Guys, can you show us an as it stands lineup? Like when they pulled in. Because the trouble is, I don't know which teams each of these guys are. It has been chucking it down in Chennai. We've had some entertaining scenes at the Madras International Circuit. Still have Gaurav Dalal alongside myself, Sohail Chandok here. Gaurav, you've seen these scenes before. Chennai has a habit in December to throw it down.
Mad. It's been just mad. Rain gods again played spoilsport to Hyderabad.
Yeah, you know, when you look at the way this race started, Alistair Young obviously searching for a win. He was a bit disappointed with the way things went last time around, and he started really, really well.
Now, this time Alistair kept his cool and kept his nerve at the start, and he got, I think, the entire race from start till where it stopped. Alistair was right in front, and he kept his tires at the right place.
Most circuits in the world are challenging in these conditions, Gaurav, but what about the Chennai circuit? I know it's already a tricky circuit for drivers.
No, I've done many races over here in the wet, and it's a circuit you need to hold your nerve, which didn't happen for Akhil.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's just take a look at some of the highlights from the race so far. We're just getting updates on when we'll get restarted, if we'll get restarted as well. But it was a good start off the line from Alistair Young. Also good start from Akhil Rabindra. Importantly, everyone keeping it clean through that first few sets
Absolutely,
of corners.
Suhail, but this race over here, is this the same race? It's all nice and bright and sunny over here.
It started bright and sunny and then took a turn pretty quickly. But the few battles in midfield as well, youngsters like Ruhan Alva, Rishon Rajiv, they kept their noses clean through that first set of corners. Got a very, very impressive driving.
The key word over here is kept it clean. As in, it was all clean racing right through this entire race over here. There was no, apart from a little shoulder nudge here and there, but otherwise the race was all clean. The drivers did really well.
This battle for me was where things started to spice up. Rishon Rajiv had the run in on Ruhan Alva, got the job done, not once, but twice on him. And then we saw this nice battle between the two Chennai drivers, Nicole Havada and Sandeep Kumar, going at it. That could have given a few nervous moments to the Chennai side, but that's when the rain gods decided to change things.
That was like a cloud blast, as in it really burst down on the track, as in from being nice and bright and sunny and races going all guns to this, where you had to follow the safety car. And there are a few patches over here on the track where aquaplaning can happen, because the surface is such but that the water does stagnate in few places. So with the slicks, as in we saw what happened to Akhil, as in absolutely no fault of his, but there was just too much water under him.
And the right call, Gaurav, in the end, because the stewards had to take a call to keep things safe as well.
Absolutely.
Precautionary measures had to be taken.
Absolutely. As in, safety is always first, as in we can do racing next, but because the amount of water that came down so quickly, the race director had to stop the race, and I'm sure Chennai dries out also reasonably fast. And as you see it over here, it stopped raining. So hopefully we'll get the race back on for whatever 6-7 minutes was left.
Yeah, I was just going to say, over our shoulders, you can see that there's no rain actually tossing down. So hopefully we'll get underway soon. These cars can go through a couple of laps around the circuit and kick a bit of that water off track, Gaurav. But for Akhil Rabindra, for that man on our screens, very, very disappointing, because he was running in second. He was coasting in second. He would have hoped to launch a late attack on Alistair Young, but it wasn't the easiest of conditions.
Right from qualifying, Sohail, rain gods haven't been on the side of Hyderabad over here. So apart from his bad luck continuing over here with the rains, all the cars will definitely have to shift to their from slicks to their intermediate tires.
You've got Neil Jani just having a few words with Akhil Rabindra. He's an experienced campaigner, driven at Le Mans and plenty of other series around the world. What would he be telling him, do you think?
So there's this Japanese saying called ukitamo, which basically means there's nothing you can do. So just hang on in there and let's see where the rest of this race goes ahead.
Yeah, Akhil Rabindra will be disappointed. For Hyderabad Blackbirds as well, they are the title contenders. They are the early leaders in this championship. But for someone like Akhil, it's a character building moment as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, any event like this where you're right in front, P2, right through the entire race, and then safety car comes out, and after which you spin, as in it's definitely a big punch in the stomach.
Yeah, we've got 12 drivers on the grid in this one, but one of the men who aren't on the grid is a young man to certainly look out for, a man with a bright future, Nikhil Bora. Get to know him a bit better.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Bora. I'm racing for Godspeed Kochi, and I'm from India and the US. Some of the main highlights are that in 2016 when I won the Singaporean and both Malaysian karting championships, and this year in Italian Formula 4, being the first Singaporean licensed driver to be on a podium in Red Bull Ring. It feels good to be a part of this league. Obviously a lot of big names in the league, so a lot of good exposure as well. New tracks for me, new car, and driving at the Hyderabad Street Circuit is super cool. So yeah, overall really excited and ready to take it on. But when I was really young, I was really into cars, just like looking at them, naming cars. So it's just been my thing since I was young, and I began racing when I was like 8 years old, and from then on it's been part of my life,
Lots of youngsters, Gaurav, in this Indian league for Indian drivers. A big opportunity for so many of them to showcase their skills.
Absolutely. As in, you can't ask for better. It's definitely, like I said it last time, it's what IPL has done to cricket. It's what IRL will do for Indian motorsport. So we didn't have that kind of opportunity 20, 25 years ago. And over here, they've got a platform which is brilliant. Brilliant cars, brilliant drivers, experience from all around the globe. You have women racing over here. You have Indians who've driven abroad who are here, and your upcoming Indian talent. It's a brilliant mix.
It really is a brilliant mix of great drivers and women from around the world who've plied their trade in different series across the globe. But, we've been talking about it, Gaurav. We've been coming to this circuit for years, for decades on end. To see crowds come back to the MIC, they come in all forms here, and they love watching a bit of motorsport. People forget that India is one of the largest populations in terms of fan following for Formula One.
Absolutely. Formula One is massive over here, but over here in the screens we're seeing that they're a little unhappy that the rains are here. So they definitely want to see their cars zooming past them, and when their cheers were all going loud. But nevertheless, I can see the track drying up as long as we don't get another shower. And from the other side, we're seeing the skies are quite clear. So I think we'll get the race going in the next few minutes.
Looking at crowds like that, Gaurav, does it remind you of the old days of motorsport in India? Right here in Chennai, we were here as kids in the 90s watching your dad, my dad, a bunch of others like Aditya and Arman's dads as well, plying their trade. Amazing times, weren't they?
Indian motorsport stalwarts were born over here. As in, not born here, but their racing careers have started over here, right from Vicky Chandok, Akbar Ibrahim, Kamlesh Patel. My dad, of course, raced and rallied, Manoj Dalal. We've had our Karun Chandok, Naren Karthikeyan, our bigger names that have actually gone forward in the sport. All this is their background for the sport.
Yeah, it is incredible to see motorsport at this level, the IRL here in Chennai. The weather, can it take a turn for the better for us? It's creeping out. It wants to come out, God of the sun. Just need to will the sun to come back out. And can it make a difference? Will the cars going on track for a couple of laps make a difference?
Stagnant water is what the problem is. So even if they get onto their intermediates, we don't have full wets over here, wet tires. So we'll have to make sure that we get those water patches stagnant over there. That needs to go away, only if we want some racing back on.
For the youngsters like Rishon Rajiv and Ruhan Alva, just seeing a few more drops come out, they'll be nervy because for them, they're sitting second and third at the moment, and they must wonder whether they even want to go back out. There's a podium up for grabs.
But if they're hardcore motorsport fanatics and who have the talent, they will definitely want to go out. I loved driving in the wet as much as people hated it. So even my first few races were when I was 17, 18, when I started, the second, third race was a wet race, and everybody else was totally petrified with the rain, and I just loved it. Ended up with the fastest lap, even when all the stalwarts those days were driving. So, if they are hardcore drivers, I'm sure they'll want to get back out there and fight it out rather than winning it in the pits.
Just looking at Nicole Havada in the Chennai squad, still in their cars. That's a good sign, Gaurav, because clearly no intimation yet that we're not going to get underway. They haven't changed out of their race suits. They're still in there hoping that we'll get action back underway, and the crowd still definitely here at the MIC waiting.
Definitely, all our viewers as well as I'm sure just want to see some action rather than these stills over here. So let's just hope the track dries out and those stagnant water are swept away and we can get the race back on.
And for the Hyderabad Blackbirds, there's an uphill task because, as we said, today they were starting on the front row. Tomorrow they're starting from all the way pretty much at the back end of the grid. I know they got Neil Jani starting there, but they need results to continue because they are sitting at the top of the points table.
Absolutely. Like I said even earlier, that they're the ones who have everything to lose because they're sitting up right there. So if it's any way they need to move, it's downwards. So there, Neil over there having a chat over there with Nikhil. So his experience, I mean, I'm sure they're asking him, what do we do? How do we turn in? And things like that. But they themselves here, this is the group of our officials, the race director and all the other officials trying to figure out what
the men of the moment. The men of the moment, all eyes will be on them. And we'll try and bring you updates really, really shortly on where things stand at the moment. That, of course, is Akash Gowda. He had a pretty decent showing while they were on track and then seemed to have a bit of car trouble going backwards. But for a lot of these young men as well, Gaurav, a lot of them wouldn't have actually driven in the rain, especially with powerful cars like this.
Definitely
it is
not.
a big, big challenge.
Driven in the rain is one and racing in the rain is another. So, yes, like you said, they are powerful cars. 220 bhp, power to weight ratio, very impressive. So the moment you actually get onto the gas, you need to be very, very gentle. You need to be so gentle with everything, otherwise you're going to spin. So it's a lot of talent. Driving in the wets is a lot of talent, not just the car that you have.
There's a lot of talent on display, but this talent has also enjoyed being in India. They've even attempted a few Bollywood lines. You are going to love this.
Lights, camera, rolling, action.
डॉन को पकड़ना मुश्किल ही नहीं नामुमकिन है डॉन को पकड़ना मुश्किल ही नहीं नामुमकिन है
Kamal kate o pandeji. Kamal kate o pandeji. Oh my God. Kere anchan dange. Mere karan anchan ange. Mere karan Arjun aenge.
मेरे पास बंगलो है गाड़ी है बैंक बैलेंस है तुम्हारे पास क्या है
मेरे पास माँ है
बड़े बड़े देश में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है सिन्योरिता
अगर ये तुमसे प्यार करते हैं तो पलट से देखेंगे
पलट
पलट पलट
They are loving life. They are really, really loving life. And that's got a part of what this celebration is, right? It's not just about the competitive nature of the league, but it's for a lot of these drivers to come to Indian shores, get a slice of our culture, and they seem to be loving it.
No, absolutely. As in, for a lot of them, I did the entire pit walk and I met all these foreign drivers. And 2-3 of them actually loved Bollywood. As in, he's not here today, but he's a massive Shah Rukh Khan fan. So he stands out and he does the entire Shah Rukh Khan pose and all of them shooting out those Indian dialogues over there. Mere Karan Arjun aayenge, the way they were saying it with their accent. I mean, too cute.
Yeah, loving it. They are loving it. We are too. We're hoping we'll get underway in just a bit. But let's try and get some updates for you. Downstairs, we've got Somil.
Alistair, P1 for you. But it's crazy right now. The race has been halted. You've got the rain. Firstly, how was the start for you? How good was it? You controlled it so well.
Yeah, the start was mega. I wanted to bunch up the field at the last corner so no one could get an advantage. And it seemed to work quite well. And then, you know, I just went. And the timing was right and managed to get ahead of the car next to me. And from there, it was just controlling the pace, you know, not making mistakes, keeping the tyres. And then, you know, the clouds started getting heavier, a few drops here. And I was like, okay, you know, as long as we got temp on track and on tyres, it's okay. But as soon as it properly hit the last corner, I think a couple people went off there. It's too much. It was too much. And even under the safety car, we were clutching in at 10 kph and we were almost going off. So for me, I wouldn't want to drive this, especially on semi-slicks. If you had wet tyres, maybe, but not semi-slicks.
But how crazy is it when you've got the puddles? How carefully do you have to throttle all your way through?
Oh, even on the safety car, I was creeping. Absolutely creeping. I couldn't go more slow. No restart?
Okay, no worries. Alistair, all the very best. Have a good drive. Folks, that was Alistair Young. He's currently leading the race right now, and he told you that's how tricky he is. He was even scared during the safety car. So it's a tough one over here, right, all the way through. But let's see who else we can actually potentially get on over here. We are going to get a restart very, very quickly. But first, let's go to the studio.
Thanks for that, Saumil. That is big news. You just saw the raw emotion erupt as well from Alistair Young. His first win in the IRL, Gaurav. That's a special feeling. I think it might just be 50% points, though. He'll take it.
Absolutely. I'm sure they'll all take it. Unfortunate as it is that we didn't have the full race. But yes, we just got news that the race is done and 50% of the points will be awarded. So I think we're headed for the podium now.
For young Alistair Young, Gaurav, in the footsteps of his father, Alex Young, there's a lot of pressure when it comes down to that. You've seen it. I've seen it with Karun and a bunch of other young drivers from the region as well. It's a hard one to follow. It's a hard act to follow. But Alistair Young seems to be loving life in India at the moment.
I think he should, because the number of people who've actually driven in India, in Chennai, and gone on to F1, that number is quite high. As in, we had Mick Schumacher here a few years ago. We've had Karun and Naren drive over here. So Alistair Young, with Alex Young's support, for all you know, he'll go on to F1.
100% hoping he will go all the way. And for young men like Rishon Rajiv as well, really impressive race from him. But this was the start of this race. It was a clean getaway from the pole sitter, Alistair Young. It was also a good start from Akhil Rabindra. While the sun was out, he was looking good too. And all the way back through the pack, things were looking really decent for all the drivers. Very clean through the race for them. But that's when the showers started to kick in. For me, the battle of the race had to be between Rishon Rajiv and Ruhan Alva. He pipped him once, he pipped him twice, and clean overtaking.
Yes, that's where he took him, and he got the inner of him, kept his cool right down that straight, and took it at the right moment. Here we're seeing the Chennai boys and the girl battle it out. Not as much in front as we would want. And, well, it is what it is. The rain had to come down and play spoil sport.
Yeah, unfortunately for Akhil Rabindra as well, the rain did come down. A spin when he did not want it. Because think about it, Gaurav. If he just stayed on, he went off at the last corner. If he just stayed on track, that's a podium.
Really unfortunate. I mean, you can't really get worse luck than that. As in, after the safety cars come out, when you're not racing, something really went wrong for him to actually have spun. Because otherwise, he's a good driver. I mean, it's definitely... I mean, at the end of the day, it is a driver error, but it was really unfortunate for him to lose out on these valuable points for Hyderabad.
Yeah, valuable points for Hyderabad. But let's just bring you the final race results. Obviously, plenty of action around it. But, you know, when you actually talk about it, a win for Alistair Young, Rishon Rajiv, 17 years old, brilliant performances.
I think we're set up very well for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be exciting. We have sprint race number 2 and the feature race, which is a 40-minute race with a driver change in between. So that's going to be exciting where whatever has happened today. But I think we're all very well poised for tomorrow's race.
It is going to be another great day. It's going to be a super Sunday of motorsport right here in Chennai. But these are the provisional results from race 1. Alistair Young taking top spot. Rishon Rajiv in second and Lola in third on the podium. That is a brilliant drive from her.
Not too bad for Hyderabad at the end of it, as in they're still on the podium.
Also, Akhil, because they backtrack it and backdated there, you've actually gone and got yourselves a bit of points too for Akhil Rabindra in 6 spots for him. Gabriela Yilkova, another fantastic talent for the Goa Aces in 5th. And that's honestly a slick looking lineup. Youngsters like Rishon Rajiv, you've got the women from across the globe as well.
Yeah,
it's been a good day.
Nice to see Lola on the podium. So we've got a girl over there right on top on the podium, going to be spraying some champagne. So it's all's well that ends well, yeah.
Yeah, Gaurav, it's going to be another big day. Thanks so much for joining us. But Sunday we'll bring you another sprint race. We'll get you that feature race that you guys are looking for as well. For now, from Chennai, from Gaurav, myself, and all of us here at the IRL, it's goodbye.
So, folks, obviously those of you who are still here with us on the Indian Racing League YouTube stream, thanks very much for staying with us. We're going to have the podium ceremony very shortly indeed. Obviously, race 1 of the weekend declared after a red flag brought out by the heavy monsoon rain. Due to the fading light, it has been declared that we are not going to restart, sadly. So we are going to head to the podium ceremony very shortly indeed. The provisional result, of course, is that the Godspeed Kochi team have won their first race of the Indian Racing League 2022, with Alistair Young, who will of course share the podium with Nikhil Bora, the man who put him in pole position for this race in the first place. Then our second position, provisionally, it is obviously going to be the Bangalore Speedsters team of Rishon Rajiv and the girl who put him in position to go racing, that is Bianca Bustamante. And Lola Lovenfoss driving beautifully to get third position in this race, and she will obviously share her podium with Anindith Reddy. So there it is, a fabulous battle for all of the contenders as they battle for supremacy. And would you believe it, it is a fascinating statistic that isn't going to be repeated too many times over the course of this season. 5 different teams in the top 5 places. Really was a fantastic opening race. Even before the red flags came down, I think it would have continued to be a sensational one had the rain not intervened. But we are obviously going to continue as things progress. So it'll be a short few minutes before the podium ceremony. So a fabulous opening race then of the weekend for Indian Racing League Round 3 2022. The drivers are gathering down at the podium. So in just a few short minutes' time, we will be able to have a particular battle for the podium ceremony. And what a thrilling opening race it was. So the only reason we're now in a holding pattern is because we are literally waiting for the recovery of Celia Martin's car, who sadly had her off in the early stages of that opening sprint race. Very disappointing for her and the team. She was up in 4th position after the opening lap, or during the opening lap, I should say. So very unfortunate for her, but hopefully they'll be back to their best again in race 2. So, of course, we are going to have more races tomorrow, of course, for those of you who are watching along on the YouTube stream. Thank you very much indeed as well, by the way, everybody, for your messages and your comments and your questions. Do please keep the conversation flowing into tomorrow. We've got more great racing to come from race 2, the sprint race, which again is going to be another 20 minutes plus the additional lap. And, of course, we'll have the feature race, which will feature a mandatory pit stop. And, of course, after the insane qualifying session that we had in Q2 earlier on today, we're going to have a very mixed-up grid for the second of our sprint races, which should give us some sensational action out there on the course tomorrow. Neil Jani, the man who dominated last week, will start no higher than 10th on the grid for tomorrow's sprint race. So he's going to have to do so much hard work to get himself back up to the front. Anything can happen tomorrow. So it really is going to be very intriguing indeed, and we'll have to see just how the competitors gear up for an exciting show. So we're going to get to see Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora take their position on the top of the podium. Why do 2 drivers head to the podium, you ask? Well, it's very simple. One driver has done the qualifying position, the other driver has done the race, and that crosses across both sprint races as well as the feature race. So both drivers will actually take a podium, one for doing the hard work in qualifying and one for doing the hard work in the race. So that is why 2 drivers end up on the podium ceremony for each race. So with the drivers down there, you can see Alistair Young there with Godov absolutely beside himself with joy. He was absolutely euphoric when he was down there with Samir Aurora at the end of race coverage. But fabulous to see just how intense it was. I think every effort was made to get the racing restarted, but you have to appreciate that obviously the time is falling, the light is fading fast here in India. It is December, don't forget. So unfortunately, it wasn't judged with the wet conditions and with the spray, coupled with the fading light. It was judged that there just wasn't going to be enough light available to the drivers in tricky circumstances when they're having to deal with spray and on-track conditions and a few other variables as well. It just wasn't considered the right call to restart the race. Unfortunate, but that is motorsport. But what it does mean, of course, is that Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora take Godspeed Kochi to the top of the podium for the first time in 2022. Last weekend was all about the dominance of the Hyderabad Blackbirds. Not this weekend. They're going to have to work for it if they want to get back on the top step of the podium this weekend. They did get a podium because the number 10 car, Lola Lovinfoss, drove maturely, smoothly and calmly and collectedly to bag their first podium of the weekend. The number 10 car of Lola Lovinfoss, sharing of course as she is with Anindith Reddy, and they will take the third position spot on the podium. And the second position spot, of course, is going to be taken by that young superstar Rishon Rajiv, along with his teammate Bianca Bustamante. The kids in town, and they will go on the second rung of the podium. And Bianca Bustamante is already telling her social media followers all about it. Excellent stuff for everybody, and hope you've enjoyed the action and the coverage here from the Indian Racing League. So a really sensational situation. Great to have your comments through on the YouTube stream as well, by the way. Guy Incognito making it very clear, you can't race on that, it's a lake. And you're absolutely right, there is just too much standing water. Fortunately tomorrow the prediction for the weather conditions is that it will be dry, so hopefully that rain will drain very quickly. And of course, as Travelling Gumakad has also pointed out, they're expecting rain in Hyderabad next week as well, so that could be very interesting. So a question has come in just before the podium from Guy Incognito. Can we confirm the situation with the false start penalties? Who out of Alva and Yilkova received them? And what are the times applied? So we can confirm that. It is all provisional. It will officially be declared in the closing stages of the evening. But both drivers have been given 20-second time penalties. So that obviously demotes them back. It demotes Ruhan Alva to 7th, and it drops Gabrieli Yilkova to a provisional, I'm trying to do the math here very quickly, drops her to 8th position, I do believe. So they have dropped back as a result of that. But obviously that will all be confirmed officially later on. You can see the trophies about to be handed out to the competitors. It's going to be a really exciting day at the races tomorrow. Make sure you cancel your plans and tune in tomorrow, because the sprint race is going to have a crazy topsy-turvy starting grid. And then, of course, we're going to have the feature race, which will be a combination of the two races. So nothing is going to be clear-cut tomorrow. And it'll be a very entertaining battle here on the circuit. There is Rishon Rajiv. What a great performance from him to fight his way back up to P2 in the end of it all. After the pressure bubbled over for him last week, he's really turned it around, and the superstar, along with Bianca Bustamante, the Manila youngster for the Philippines, they've come through and done a great job to finish up in P2. Great work from the Bangalore Speedsters team to get second place. That's their best finish of the season. And there is the French lady from Rouen, the 17-year-old Lola Lovinfoss. She's done a great job here in this race, kept it on the island, kept it nice and safe and sound, and she and Anindith Reddy will go to the grid. Long face for Neil Jarni. It's been an opportunity missed for them to get to the podium, because they were looking at second place before Akhil Rabindra had his very easy mistake to make into the final turn of that last racing lap. There was just no chance of any grip at all for him, and just skating on ice cubes all the way around that slowing down lap as well. There's Oliver Webb just chatting to his teammates at the Bangalore Speedsters. A very disappointing race for him and Anshul Gandhi. Oliver Webb unable to do anything about watching Anshul Gandhi struggle and then finally finish to get the race started. It was very unfortunate for Anshul Gandhi, who dropped out of the reckoning as things continued. The fans in the stands are slowly depleting, but they are going to be back again, ready for two great races tomorrow. The sprint race, and then of course we'll have the feature race as well. So make sure you subscribe, like and share the YouTube channel and the YouTube links. You'll get more great race action tomorrow. And of course, follow Indian Racing League Official on the social media networks, on Instagram, on Facebook and on Twitter. And you won't miss a moment of the great action. And of course, you'll get to join me and the rest of the team over the course of tomorrow. I'll be joined on commentary once again by the great Suhail Jandok, who will also be anchoring the show. And you'll have Gaurav alongside him in the studio, Gaurav Patal. And we'll also have, of course, our three superstars running around in the pit lane, getting all the latest news and information. Sukhmani Sadana, along with Zexis Vadia, and of course we will have Sumil Arora our brilliant team, and fantastic work by all of them. And I hope everybody watching along on Star Sports India really enjoyed the coverage. And you'll get even more tomorrow when our next 2 races continue in round 3 of the Indian Racing League 2022. And of course, we're a week away from returning to Hyderabad, where we should hopefully get our 3 fabulous races underway. So we're just waiting for the final action here at Madras International Circuit for Saturday evening, which is going to be the podium ceremony for race 1, round 3 of the Madras International Circuit running of the Indian Racing League 2022, with these fantastic Wolf cars with their Aprilia motorcycle engines. They've given us so much entertainment, and this is a big moment for the Godspeed Kochi team, so we want to stick around and give them their accolades and the celebrations for them to get the race win. We're just waiting for the final declarations. I think there might be a slight conversation about 3rd position that we are told, as there is a little conversation going on between Ruhan Alva and Fabian Volva, and apparently there is a discussion regarding the 20-second penalty. I think they just want clarification of the situation, just in case there is a potential opportunity for them to step up, but obviously that conversation will probably happen later. But certainly, for Godspeed Kochi, it's a victorious day at the races here at the Madras International Circuit. A jubilant victory for Nikhil Bora, who did the job in qualifying, and the man of the moment, Alistair Young of Malaysia, who got the victory done on the track when it counted, when the chips were down and the pressure was on. He was there when it counted, and he did a fantastic job, considering that this weekend is his 2nd time in the car, and prior to the start of qualifying, Alistair Young had only had about 11 flying laps in the car at all around this circuit. He's done less mileage than pretty much anybody else here. And what a fantastic victory for him. He kept his cool under pressure and totally deserves to take the checkered flag in 1st position. Great run. So he and Nikhil Bora will have a very jubilant victory on the top step of the podium. Big up to the Bangalore Speedsters, though, as Rishon Rajiv and Bianca Bustamante have well and truly deserved their places in P2. And of course for Lula Lovinfoss, I should say, sorry, and Anindith Reddy, they have totally earned 3rd position as well for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. That will give them some decent points in the championship. Had another question come in about the Drivers' Championship. Is there one, and how is it affected between the individual drivers? I can tell you there isn't a Drivers' Championship. It is all a team-based championship. So the championship standings and points only count towards the teams. They do not count towards drivers, because obviously both drivers will score the same amount of points. So we're just waiting for the final confirmation of the podium ceremony. You can find out more information on the social media channels for Indian Racing League, on Instagram, on Facebook and on Twitter. On Twitter it is IRL Official 1. And on Instagram and Facebook, just search for the Indian Racing League and you will pop up and you'll find it.
Okay, here we are. Round 3, day 1 of IRL comes to an end. Can we have a big round of applause for all of you guys for making it possible? A little more noise. The weather's already a downer. Let's not be downers ourselves. There we go. There we go. Okay, first up, let's bring on the presenters of the trophy. We have Mr. Amarnath Reddy, Akhilesh Reddy, and Anush Pala. Can we have you on stage, all three of you? Come on. Come on, come on. Big round of applause to them. Louder, guys. So you guys can stand there while we bring on the winners. On P3, we have Lula Anandit from Blackboard Hyderabad. Let's give a big round of applause. Onto the podium, lady.
So there we are, Lula Lovinfoss and Anindith Reddy making their way to the podium in third position for the Hyderabad Blackbirds.
The track hasn't been
a great
easy.
podium finish for them.
Has been a challenge for sure.
And a very deserving position for the 17-year-old from Rouen and Anindith Reddy, who picks up another trophy over the course of his fledgling career here in India.
And Bianca from Bangalore, Speedsters, let's go! Presenting the trophy to them is...
And now for car number 3, the Bangalore Speedsters. From Manila in the Philippines, Bianca Bustamante, who's been racing in the W Series all year. And alongside her, Rishon Rajiv, who represented India in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy 3 years ago. What a talent these two are. Great work from both of them. They deserve their place. But Godspeed Kochi win their first win of the Indian Racing League 2022 here at MIC. The Madras International Circuit is conquered by Nikhil Bora in qualifying and Alistair Young in the race. What a deserving victory for the two men. Keep an eye on these two. They are names that are going to be rewriting the future of motor racing history if they keep this up. Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora, very deserving of the win. And it's the second different team to win a race in the Indian Racing League 2022. It's a win for Godspeed Kochi. And there is Jose Utta, who is obviously in charge of the operations at Godspeed Kochi. What a fantastic result for him and for the whole team. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's all she wrote here on Saturday at the Indian Racing League 2022, round 3 at the MIC Madras International Circuit. We'll be back tomorrow for more of the same. Shukriya, everybody. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be back in action once again for round 3, the continuation on Sunday for race 2 and the feature. See you tomorrow.